Whatever it is, it just feels so real. And your eyes keep on talking in the silence, and all the blood to my cheeks are rushing out.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to Six Masters. We're back, 2 more maps to go. We've got another series coming right up, and that was a killer one to kick it off. Raven, that was tiring, bro.
Yep. It's a bit like that. It was tiring. That was a really long series, but it was awesome. That first map in particular, Villa, was a really great watch. And if you did miss out on it, I highly recommend you watch it back because it was a total classic.
One of the best maps I've casted in a long time, Villa. There. 8-7 down to the wire. Crazy. And we're clipping highlights for you guys. If you want to stay up to date with those, Rainbow 6 ANZ is where you want to get to. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. Maybe you're watching there right now. YouTube as well. There's other good content on those channels too. So stay up to date with those stuff. And you can also vote on who you reckon's going to win these games when we bring up those votes. Plus, if you tweet with the hashtag 6Masters, we might get your tweets on stream as well in a little ticket down the bottom or up during the breaks in that little box up there. So, hey, audience involvement. Who doesn't love that?
Yeah, exactly. Get your chance to be in the spotlight for a little bit, say something cool, say something funny. But look, I'm starting to get pretty excited for this second series. Sinister versus Knights, I think, is setting up to be a pretty close one because, I mean, Sinister didn't rack any points in that first week, but they were against Wildcard. And that was a close series. It was 7-4, 7-5. And most of those rounds were not necessarily blowouts. So I think against Knights, it's going to be a pretty good challenge.
And we have very high hopes for Sinister coming off a flawless Pro League. And let's have a look at their roster and see maybe some changes that have run through with it. These are the guys in red here. Molosca, Fisho, Nico, Vincia, and Derper, who's the newest addition to this roster, but no stranger to the ANZ Pro scene, having played for Wildcard for a very long time as well.
Yeah, Derp was on that team for a really long time, and now that he's on Team Sinister, it's going to be interesting what he brings to the table. I mean, he obviously brings a lot of knowledge and experience, and potentially that's what they were lacking. Last week looked half decent. Derp did look like he was struggling a little though, so I'm sure there's some teething issues moving forward, but week by week I would expect that they start to fade away a little bit.
Yeah, and chatting to Vinny last week, he was very confident in this change, bringing in Derp while Luna's got internet problems, so I think there's a lot of confidence we can have in this team. But let's have a look at who they'll be playing. It's the Pittsburgh Knights, who, while the organization might be from Pittsburgh, don't let the name deceive you, these players are all from Australia and New Zealand, or the Oceanic region, and these guys have made a couple of roster changes too recently.
Yes, they are. They lost Stiggs to Fnatic. Stiggs is the new 6th man on Fnatic, and that meant that they had to, of course, replace him, and Arlo has been recalled to the roster. He was playing with these guys in early Season 11, ended up moving into a sub role, but now he's back, and honestly, last week, I felt like Arlo did step up. He played like he had always been on the team, and it didn't really feel like they were overly affected by Stiggs' loss. Of course, they are losing a good player, but usually when you see a change like that, a team noticeably struggles. But it didn't look like that last week.
Yeah, I agree. These guys, there is a bit of a question mark there, but what's something redeeming for them is that the player they brought on to replace Stiggs, at least for now, is Arlo, who formerly did play for this team for quite some time before he was replaced. So there's a lot of team chemistry. They probably don't have to go over and rework half their call-outs in their book. So I have a lot of confidence in these guys. And I mean, I worked quite closely with Strider many, many moons ago, and I always had so much faith in him as a player and as an individual, really strong work ethic and a really big brain. That I honestly think any team that Strider's on, I would have faith in. So I've been watching Knights for a long time, and we had high expectations, I think, going into the Pro League season with them, and maybe they didn't fully meet those expectations. This is their next chance to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, they did have some of those roster changes throughout the season that seems to have really not necessarily affected their form, but it gave them this plateau for a lot of Season 11, and so 6 Masters is their chance to keep moving forward. I'm really excited to see how they go. Strider in particular, seeing as you mentioned him, he had a really big week last week. Some massive impact frags and just playing with confidence at the moment.
Yeah, totally agree. Now let's jump into the map veto. This is a best of 2, so we play 2 maps. There is no third map, but each map is individually picked by one team. So how it goes ban from one team, ban from the other team, pick from one team, and then pick from the other team. Let's toss it up, see what the first 2 bans are. It's Theme Park, banned by Sinister. Funny, since they played it last week. They were the first team in Oceania to pick Theme Park in a pro level thing ever. They're banning that, and Pittsburgh going to get rid of Villa.
Yeah, the Villa ban in particular, fantastic from Pittsburgh. It's a really strong map for Sinister in the past. They've had some pretty good results on it, so they're not wanting to go there at all. In fact, they lost 7-4 to Sinister in Pro League not too long ago. The Theme Park ban I'm kind of surprised about because Sinister did play it last week against Wildcard, and they only lost it 5-7. So it's not like they got smacked on it.
I feel like they may be worried about... I mean, you could just take the risk of leaving it open, and then if the other team picks it, then so be it. That other team would have VODs to counter you on it, which I think is the thought process maybe from Sinister. Okay, if we leave Theme Park in the pool, then the Knights might pick it, and they can counter-strat our Montaigne strats that we used last week against Wildcard. So I like the idea there. So, I mean, let's roll through the picks if we can. Last time these guys played each other, they played on Villa and Clubhouse. We're going to see Clubhouse again. Previously, that was a 7-3 to Sinister, and they're the ones who pick it this round. Pittsburgh Knights picking up Coastline to round things off.
I'm not too surprised again by the Knights pick of Coastline. It was their strong map last week against Ferox. They won that 7-4. They looked quite good on it. Ferox really struggled. That being said, Ferox also have had their roster changes, which could have had a big factor in how that played out. But it's clear that these 2 teams have really played into their strengths. On top of that, I think that means that there's going to be a lot of odds of these teams playing these maps and these strategies. So it's going to put a bit of an emphasis on how counters have been put in play and how the adaptation goes as we progress.
Yeah, if I have a gaze at Clubhouse, it's just a mainstay for both of these teams. We've seen, I mean, last week, Knights played Ferox and lost that one. So maybe not a good result from them, and that's very, very recent. So Sinister could have been watching that VOD. Mind you, Sinister also lost Clubhouse last week when they played against Wildcard. So both of these teams have immediate VODs exposing the other team's weaknesses on that map. So both these teams playing Clubhouse 2 weeks in a row. I mean, these are not underexplored maps. These are maps where these teams have a lot of information on how each other plays. That means it's going to be a rumble, I think.
I agree. I'm really thinking that this could be another map trade situation that we saw with LFO TBD. It kind of feels that way based on how the veto's now gone, but it's hard to say. I mean, these teams pick these maps for particular reasons, and of course, in terms of the veto system now, you have to be thinking about it differently. It's more about, okay, if we ban this map in particular, what seems like the next strongest choice for our opponent, that's what you kind of start to prepare for. So you'd have to think that, especially Knights, they would have been preparing for Clubhouse, as it's really Sinister's most played map.
That's a great point. So from Knights' perspective, maybe they've got the veto read out. Could be the same thing for Sinister, though. We haven't seen a lot of Coastline from them in a long time. So let's roll up and see what you guys reckon. Who's going to win this game? I think this one's going to be very well split as well. Team Sinister edging in at 59%. Just a couple of people on for the draw, and then 28 over for the Knights. Yeah, I can get behind this, especially taking into account questionable form with Pittsburgh Knights and the roster change. But you could almost say the same for Sinister. Do you feel like this is reflective of our expectations?
In some way, maybe not as dramatic towards Sinister. I do think it's fair to give Sinister a little bit of an edge because they did finish season 11 of Pro League quite strongly. Included with that was 2 map victories against Pittsburgh Knights. And also, like I said, against Wildcard last week, although they lost both maps, they were close scores. Those matches were reasonably close. So I think coming up against Knights, you would have a little bit of a favor towards Sinister, but I definitely wouldn't be writing the Knights off.
So both of these teams lost this map last week, but one of them has to take the W here. Last time these 2 teams met on Clubhouse, Sinister edged away a victory. It's the opportunity for Knights to have some revenge. Let's get stuck into the operator van phase.
Definitely could have an impact on the map, but traditionally on Clubhouse, we will see a Thatcher or a Maverick ban taken off, and Thatcher is what leads us in through the phase here. Sinister taking that one off, and teams starting to become very familiar with how to deal with maps with the Thatcher off the board.
Yeah, and the Ying also taken out, so that leaves Maverick in. Some of the really heavy hitting operators that we talk about on Clubhouse are the Thatcher, the hard breaches, all three of them super essential on Clubhouse. So leaving that Maverick in means that, I don't know, I feel like that Thatcher ban's a bit less impactful. How do you see that Thatcher ban potentially coming into play with the Maverick still in? So you can still use it on you still use Maverick to open up any key walls.
Yeah, I mean, the Maverick is going to play a massive part of a lot of these attacks. Opening those key walls, the Maverick trick, as we talked about on Cafe, the line above and below with the soft breach use is going to be critical for CCTV, as well as potentially on Jacuzzi wall, though you might be able to clear some of that utility differently. And then, of course, the hatches for Church Arsenal is a really big part of that.
Yeah, well, there are ways to deal with that with the Maverick, but we know how slow that Maverick can be, and we know how vulnerable he can be as well. So it comes down to strong Maverick play. We'll need to see that from Juicy here. A lot of soft breach also brought by the Knights. Sledge, Zafia, and Hibana, but it looks like Sinister are opting for what we like to call the SSG roam, at least in terms of their operators. Heading down to Church first up. Castle, Mozzie, Mute, and Vigil. A lot of operators to prevent lines of sight and prevent droning. Make it a lot more difficult for Knights to get information on any roamers that Sinister decides to play with.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Definitely seems like there's a solid roam strategy coming in, as you said. Player to look out for is definitely going to be Vince here on that Vigil. He can be a big impact player for Sinister. I've seen matches where he just goes nuts and gets a mad amount of frags and just can be a total thorn in the side of his opponent. So I think seeing him on the Vigil looks like they're potentially looking to try and unleash him a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome getting to see Vinny play on this map right after we had a really long chat to him on Friday night in Late Night Siege about this map as well. So there's a lot of insight that he would have given us then that we can kind of see in action here.
Absolutely right, Dev. Knights like they are going to do a bit of a top-down clear, so looking to push into that room. Fisho in a nice position here in oil. This is skipped on the droning. Could be deadly. There is a drone there on the stairs, though. Potentially he has been spotted. Arlo's going to start to push in. He has seen him. Nice pre-fire. Takes him out. Beautiful entry from Arlo. He's using the LMG on Zofia, which is great, but it's not as common.
I respect the grind. And that is a good first pick for the defense. Sorry, for the attacking side. Eliminating Fisher on the defense. And Vinny just trying to be as disruptive as possible, but that drone does spot him go downstairs. So Vigil signals or no. Knights are aware of that. A lot of this drone being jammed up, though. Information gathering thwarted, at least to some degree. Making things a bit more difficult for Knights to continue pushing on. They've made good control so far, half the round done, and they have that map control. This is better than you can say for... Actually, sorry, there is still that player up. 2 players upstairs, so they have that middle floor map control, but they're still concerned about Milo and Nico. Nico finds that first kill for his side onto Dino, and now him and Milo are just going to keep on holding on to this as long as they can.
Yeah, really strong control, and the fact that the time is ticking away so heavily is going to be really hard for Knights. They have to make a judgment call here whether they just go straight into this roam to clear it, or they leave it alone and they go towards side, and they just have to know they have to be careful of that flank.
Looks like they are just focusing on the bomb site for now. Not sure whether they're dedicating a player upstairs to watch that rotation. Vinny just moving around inside Armory, still invulnerable to those drones, which he continually takes out, and time's ticking away. Knights, where's the play? Arlo does find another one. That's Nico taken down on that rotation. Good move, but Milo does reply with the SMG-11. Another one for Milo. Just Arlo left. He's got 2 so far, but that's the end of the road for him. Dirtbear closes it out, and Sinister, a successful SSG roam defense.
Yeah, it was a really good defense. It started off great for the Knights, though. Arlo got a good opening pick onto a position you wouldn't really expect the opening pick to come from, but that roam just ended up being way too strong, and all those frags fell almost all at once in the end there. So Sinister looking good in that first round. Knights probably going to have a bit of a struggle ahead of them. Obviously, this is Sinister's map pick, well versed on Clubhouse, very experienced at that, and also on defense, which is a bit of a comfort zone for most teams on Clubhouse.
Now that Thatcher is banned, which does make things a bit easier, but that Maverick, pardon me, is still in, and I think that's really going to come and have more effect on Cash CCTV and also on Bedroom, because denying these exterior walls, like the kennels wall to CCTV and the jacuzzi wall to top main stairs, these you just can't really deny them. If the Maverick is in, it's pretty much impossible to hold onto that wall. It's going to get open at some point.
Catwalk plays a massive part of defense in this as well, so I'm gonna be interested to see how the Knights try to clear out Catwalk if they push that side. I mean, they can ignore it to some extent and push straight from construction towards Cash, but it's just good to be able to get that garage control, especially after you get Kennel's wall open. There's a lot of really critical points in this attack that can stall out a team at any stage.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
Mostly a kennel side spawn for Knights, very typical. Just the 2 hard breaches, the Maverick and the Hibana, so Maverick likely to be prioritizing that main kennels wall. Good usage of breaching charges from here, from Hayward, not just that first one to cover the Logi hatch, but also opening up this con wall gives a really nice avenue into the bomb site. I know you're a big advocate of opening up that wall just there, especially when unreinforced.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. They can't sit as comfortably or rotate as comfortably through construction, so it means that, of course, it's giving you an advantage as an attacker. You can even take that map control very easily and hold that. And considering the time, it's only been 50 seconds so far. This is looking pretty good from Sinister. I mean, from the Knights.
Yeah, and here's the strategy for Sinister to counter this Maverick trick, just using those smoke babes to deal a little bit of damage tick by tick against Juicy, especially when he's prone. Oh, and wow, Juicy so low on HP. Would he get shot through the drone hole at all there, or was that just the gas?
I think that was just the gas.
Man, that is a mouthful and a half. Juicy just one whiff away from dying here. If one bullet lands on him, that's your chances of getting this wall open basically gone. I think he still missed a little bit. That wall's not open yet. It's so essential that Juicy can nail this. There you go, finally.
It was looking so good for them early, but wow, that stalled them out almost 45, maybe even 50 seconds in itself, just getting that wall finished off. I've got this controller master though, and of course that really helped that they got that construction wall open nice and early. Means they can just retake that. 2 Sinister players below though. You'll have to worry about to deny a plant into the final minute. I mean, Sinister do still have quite a lot of map control here.
And a partial execute coming from that con side. I do love seeing this LMG from Arlo. Very high damage as well. And Hayward ready for an entry here. We know Knights are a team that have no hesitation just making an entry onto the bomb site, and Dinos are opening up this key avenue onto the bomb site as well, making it more and more difficult for Sinister to sit safe anywhere. Oh, but where did that come from? Fisher guy just peeks out aggressively from the doorway and takes him out. Such a good spot now. And Sinister are just increasing their lead even more. Perfect holes pre-placed in the stock wall. Give Molosca 2 kills. Fisho does find another one too. Just Arlo and he's finished off. A very nice hold there for Sinister.
Yeah, looking pretty good for them so far. They're just really letting their opponents take a little bit of that control, but they're holding onto what they need to. And then when it comes to it, they're just getting those picks. They played pretty patient. I mean, they weren't chasing any frags early. They had players on the roam. It's not like they were trying to play aggressive and make picks work or anything like that. They just waited and waited for the Knights to be at a certain point, and then they striked. And it really started when Fisho got an aggressive peek into construction, which obviously caught Dino completely off guard. And then it just all snowballed from there. So yeah, this is looking great from Sinister so far. As we'd expect, though, you would say, from the defense half.
Yeah, when I saw Fisher peeking out there in con, I actually thought it was Dino's teammate for a second. Just a silhouette. It kind of confused me. Took me an extra sec
Attackers need
to
to
sort
locate
that
and
out. But
defuse as many bombs as they can.
a good start for Sinister. And like you're saying, it is kind of expected. But I've got to say, Sinister are, you know, they're not just winning these rounds, but they're winning them well. And they're winning them convincingly. Even though Sinister, pardon me, Knights are no pushovers. What's happening here? Is that just to make the Mavericks trick a little bit worse? They are going to reinforce that, surely.
I think so. I have to keep an eye on
Yeah,
that.
reinforce going up. There you go. Yeah, it's going up.
Yeah.
I think it's Nico.
10 seconds
So
to
let's
go.
talk about this setup. Castle being taken for the gym bedroom. That's
5
very
seconds
common.
insertion.
We're searching for drones at the moment, though. It's dirt.
Attackers are heading out.
A lot of reinforcements over, extending this hold into cash. Castle barricade on the master doorway. Goya shield attempting to be placed by Vinny. Surely that would be exposed to that window. If they can pop open the master window castle. Interesting, I'm not quite sure exactly the idea here.
Yeah, interesting how that's going to be in play. There's some interesting stuff in general that we've just seen from Sinister in their prep phase, and I'm curious to see how it's going to plan out late rounds, seeing as it's mostly on site. A lot of utility coming out to open Kennel's wall here. Of course, going to be very important. It looks like the Knights will want to take CCTV cache control, which is pretty important for attacking the gym bedroom, as it allows you to really get that map control around bomb site. Because if you don't, well, then you're kind of just stuck outside still. You're on the balconies, and that's a bit of a funnel point.
I'm interested in Knights' decision to keep sticking that Hibana instead of the Thermite. Using 2 Hibana pellets on that Kennel's wall is a lot of Hibana's utility. So they'll be relying on the Maverick to go for that Kennel's wall. Sorry, the gym wall, this one over here. But it's really equally important here for the attacking side to take control of here in cash, as well as opening up that wall that Juicy is looking for. Even when Juicy opens this wall, there's still another position in bathroom, that a reinforced wall that he needs to open, or at least expose that position. But Dino finds the lead off. It's 1 player down in cash. Milo still holding fast though. Another pick. Damn. Sinister falling apart here, and Knights look pretty good. Need to see a huge play from Milo and cash to hold on to that ground.
Yeah, he's got some backup again from Fisho guy, but he gets deleted just as I talk about him. Cursed him a little bit, I'd say, and this is an aggressive push and pinch on a Milo, but he gets one, pre-fires the other doorway so he can't push through. He's holding this pretty well. He's lost a lot of teammates in doing so, and now Vincier is here to back him up. Not hitting any shots, but it means that side is very exposed. He almost catches the player jumping in the window. Milo has been down though, so there's essentially a 1 versus 3 at this stage. And no, not going to be Vinny's round. Knights take that one.
Very, very close one there for Vinny at the end, but Knights, so many opening kills there. Really, I think there must have been a trade at the end there. Must have been. So many good kills there at the start for Knights. Well, Derp found one, Dino found one. Sorry, not Derp was taken out. I'm not sure who did that. Someone with an L85, I remember that much. So Thatcher maybe, or Sledge. Thatcher is banned. It would have been the Sledge. Whoever was playing Sledge last round. Probably Strider, I guess. I don't know. Detective Dev on the job. And yep, Knights killed a bunch of people, and then it was really hard for Sinister to kill people because they had less people that they could do the killing with. And doing the tapping of the heads.
That's some real Professor of Siege analysis there, Dev.
Heck
I
yeah,
like
that's
that.
my analysis. See, they can't shoot you if you've already shot them.
Yeah. That's the real key, right? I mean, if you're doing that, you can't lose.
By attackers.
Exactly. Alright, SSG Row. Let's see what you got for a Sinister. It worked out pretty well last time, even though Knights got the first kill.
Yes. And that was in a strange spot too.
That was where?
In a strange spot, in Oil Pit.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you wouldn't expect the opening death to really be there on a church hole.
Yeah. I think, was Fisher even potentially just rotating back to side? I don't think his intention was to roam. Typically, you'd think Vinny, Nico, and Milo would be the roamers on this one, just by the operators they're playing.
10 seconds to insertion.
And also by how last round played out, but nonetheless.
I'm dry.
5 seconds to insertion.
So here we go, castle barricade being placed at the pool table and the hatch above open. He's likely to be opening up this moto hatch too. Nope, he's just going to walk on past, I guess. And Nico potentially going for a spawn peek. Nope, just backs on out. Milo still top floor as well. Also, Angle's looking downstairs, so I think that's part of the name of the game here for Miloska and Nico here. It's a lot of drone denial, but also having angles so that they can actually fight people who are playing on that floor below them.
And a heavy use of shotguns here from Sinister in their setup. So far, looks like a pretty solid attack from the Knights. Arlo's already taken some good control here on to push this roam, as Vinci is taken out very early in the roam. So again, Knights, a great roam clear for this, and it's a little bit quicker. I mean, they cleared it last time, but very, very late.
Yeah. Looks like at first pick, I mean, it didn't make a difference last time. A lot of information being denied here, and Hayward in a very common position for an attack like this, just trying to prevent that rotation downstairs. It's a hammer and anvil strategy. Arlo is the hammer, and Hayward is the anvil, just waiting for these players to rotate back. But it's a tough position, especially with Milo and Nico just there waiting. A drone comes in. A C4 comes out. Arlo gets that kill.
Well, that backfired quite a bit for Sinister there. A good pinch from the Logi hatch, it looked like, for Knights. And this roam's really fallen apart. Nico, very pinched up here in the gym. And it's going to be all up to him, in fact, as the Knights take a flawless round, Dev. That really just... I can't believe it's over.
Yeah. And I don't think a single person died in the basement, which is where the bomb site was. I think the idea there from Knights was, like we were talking about, hammer and anvil, try and push those people through cash, through con, and have Hayward ready and waiting for anyone trying to go down the main stairs. I think there was also a player on the west balcony, I think it was the west side, outside gym, so to watch if anyone tried to rotate through going down the gym hatch. So the idea there being Knights have cut off all of the ways that these roamers from Sinister can get back to site. And so not only did Sinister struggle there in those fights and struggle on those rotations, but other players from Sinister, for example, Derper, decided, okay, I'm going to try to support these roamers as well, and that's how he pushed up the main stairs and died. So, no, strange one, but we'll see some operator changes here, abandoning the Mute and the Mozzie, and the Castle, in fact. So, going away from that SSG roam into a much more default style.
Yeah, it really does look like it's going to be much more of a, you could call it a turtle strat. I'd expect they'll have some kind of presence around maybe main stairs, storage stairs, shoot some drones, but then they're just going to piece back out to site and hang out. Put some emphasis on the fact that Thatcher is banned and that you need to be using this hard breach really effectively to open these hatches. Otherwise, this side in particular can be very difficult to attack.
Especially if you use Maverick on one of those, use Cade to protect one of those hatches. You can potentially protect the second one with the other electrical, or you can protect Dirt, and then the Maverick will have to go for that utility. And it really leaves a lot of, like you're saying, it just makes it much more difficult for the attackers on this hard breach utility. Derper also has impact grenades. Nico might have impact grenades, so that's a lot of opportunity to impact trick that church, the Arsenal hatch into kitchen. Turtle strat definitely works out well with these operator bans. See how they manage it.
Nile as well, and a lot of pings coming out on that kitchen roof and floor. Not sure. Trying to line up a C4 or something. Juicy is going to open the bar hatch here with the blowtorch, and this is the free hatch, so get that quite quickly. Of course, Kitchen Hatch is really where the struggle's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think it's likely we'll see Kitchen Hatch get open thanks to this impact trick, and Dino just waiting right now for someone to peek. Not pre-firing too much, just, oh, there you go, he gets the pre-fire, but doesn't land that shot there, and not likely Fisher will keep peeking that when he sees bullets whiz past his head. That's one hatch open.
Like Arlo is just going to be holding on to blue, maybe looking to push down it a bit later. Dirtbay does finally open the kill count here. That's Strider off. No more sledging of the 4 possible. Hayward's just going to go to work with an Ash charge. Trying to find some picks through this floor, but nothing happening. Sinister knowing their angles and just holding safely so far, and if they can continue to burn this time away, it's going to be very tricky for the Knights to be able to get through to side and even just get a chance of planting.
50 seconds. Arlo looking to toy with blue, but Molotka's holding against him. Gas grenade pushes back as well, the Moto player, and I'm not sure what the idea is here is with Juicy, not actually trying to open the wall, but just exposing these positions, and this deployable shield does not save Vinny's life. A C4 comes over, a barely missed shot from Juicy. And 25 seconds left, Nico finds another one with that TCSG. Knights have an avenue onto the bomb site, and Arlo finds one, finds two, pushing on inside. There's a down player in there as well. Can he go for another? Just hold down left click. He's the last man standing. Only 2 players standing for him to find. This could be a 4K to clutch it out, but they're not going to give him anything. He spots one player, but they're not going to give him the satisfaction. And that's Sinister to protect the bombs and win that round on time.
Oof. Yeah, came down to that 1v1 against Nico, basically, but Nico staying very patient, passive in Arsenal. Meant that he wasn't pre-fired from that belt-fed LMG, the Zofia. So Sinister again, claw through with that church defense. We're up to the final round of the half. Sinister going to attempt CCTV, which was successful for them last time.
Was that actually an effectively 1v1? I thought there were still 2 players from Sinister, other than the...
They were both down. Both down in church.
Really? Oh, damn. I didn't even notice that. That was a 1v1. Nuts. So close. Good effort from Arlo, especially just jumping onto this roster again. Oh, Hayward with the 300 IQ. Ash to Ash, 6 pick. Love it.
I'll never guess.
Right on. So that is... I mean, it took them 2 goes, but they did get that defense finally. SSG room didn't work. The total strat did. So back up to Cash now. Last defense of the half. This worked out well for Sinister last time. I'd like to attribute a lot of that to just a really slow push from Knights, seemingly, and then just some individual picks. No one was covering Dino when he was in con, which allowed Fisher to get an aggressive peek, and then Milo found 2 downstairs when flanking as well. These feel like very much things Knights could just fix between 2 rounds.
Yeah, it does. But unfortunately, I mean, like, they're not going to be able to now, essentially. They are... Ooh, perfect. This tight angle was the west, but nobody over that side. Not going to find that. And something I am disappointed about, Dev, is that last time these guys played each other in Pro League, Sinister did the bait strat, where they were defending top floor, but they baited the defense on the basement. And it was against Knights. They fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Tried to plant in the basement. I was kind of hoping they were going to try it again, you know?
I feel like that's the thing, that kind of bait strategy. You know, Knights fall for it once, they're never going to fall for it again in their life. That's how that works, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And Knights don't want the egg on their face for the second time.
Surely you'd be tempted though, because if they did, think about like the mindset that would really shift.
Oh, look, there's still overtime possibility. So
True.
we will hold out hope. And looks like Juicy has botched this again. No, and Derbear finds that kill.
A bomb has been located.
Damn, that's going to be real tough to open up this wall now. It's not completely open. There's a possibility that we could see Dino use some X-Kairos to try to finish that job off, but I don't know if he's going to make the rotation for it.
No, it looks like that he's actually just going to utilize that more towards construction. I mean, that being said, they could still sit somebody at those holes because, I mean, a big part of it is to cut the rotates. And you can still sit at those holes and cut the rotates. So half of the job is done, you could say. But it's not ideal. It's not a rotatable position. So the defense doesn't have to hard watch that at least. That means this is going to be a much more predictable push here as they look to open construction. And Sinister are repositioning, ready to defend this.
Especially because there's clearly a mute jammer to prevent these X-Kairos detonating. So Strider is going to try and nade over the top. Not sure whether there's an ADS to protect that. No, there isn't, and that probably does destroy the mute jammer there. So, oh man, poor Fisher getting abused here as the smoke just holding on, but doesn't matter. There you go, those X-Kairos do detonate. 30 seconds left for Knights on this execute.
Now they're kind of sitting ducks at this stage. Milo does flank around. Hayward tries to jump through the window, but that's not going to be successful as Fisher is holding a nice angle with the shotgun. They're just going to funnel through this door. In fact, they're not even going to get through the door, Dev. It's a flawless round to Sinister to end out the half.
It's the second flawless round we saw in that half, but I mean, first time it was an attack from Knights, so nice to see Sinister reply with their own. Look, they didn't need the bait strat, but 4-2 on the half. I wouldn't say it's amazing for Clubhouse. It's not just expected, but it's good.
Yeah, a 4-2 half for defense, it's pretty acceptable. If I was Sinister, I'd be pretty happy with that. What's really going to be the telling thing here is how Sinister go on attack. And I mean, this was their map pick, so I have high expectations of how this is going to pan out.
Yeah, so let's flip over. Move down. It looks like we're going to see some kind of variation and potentially even an SSG roam. Because we do... Oh, actually, I don't know. It's hard to say. We don't have the castle. But this has been pretty common in terms of operator selection, at least in my memory. And please, if you remember as well, jump in. Dino playing Alibi here. I feel like I've seen this before as a castle replacement. Kind of using it to prevent people playing on these windows. So, for example, that one he just placed here in Master prevents someone from aggressively peeking that window, obstructs the line of sight slightly, and means if someone does shoot, they're going to get pinged out, which makes them a little bit exposed. I'm not sure if he's putting them too far away from the window that it can be shot from the window, though. So, anyhow, it's I don't know, cool idea. I'm interested to see how it works. It does seem to be a heavy roam strategy, similar to your SSG roam style thing.
Yeah, it was something that we saw Pittsburgh attempt in their previous match against Ferox last week. But it didn't have much success. Curious to see whether that was just maybe an error in how it was played. Where it works out. And also, I think Alibi in general, in terms of her pick rate on Clubhouse, it's really more for like the gym bedroom defense. People love using Alibi on the gym bedroom defense. I know Fnatic used to use Alibi a lot for their holds of gym bedroom.
Yeah, well, if you ever tell me to play Alibi, I won't be complaining. She's got a fantastic primary weapon in the Storm, and
Bomb located by attacker.
also got that secondary shotgun and impacts, or a shield. So just a really valuable kit there, despite being, I think a lot of people don't really rate her. She's got quite a lot of utility that can really help the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyhow,
I mean, it has burned off this first minute. I mean, that's pretty important.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, having a look now at how Sinister are dealing with this, you can see they are addressing this roam. That's the idea here. They're not just trying to ignore it. So trying to pressure here from the Jacuzzi side as well, which is fully reinforced and catered. Not a lot of progress, to be honest, here. And honestly, if Knights just do things like what Arlo's doing right now, just chill out and hide in strip, as long as he knows there aren't any drones on him. He actually did just hear the drone jumping. He could potentially just kind of sit here for the rest of the round, and Knights could not even contest Sinister. Just let them eventually take that ground. That would probably be fine. Oh, but Nico's going to open up this wall. Keep an eye on strip here. Looks like they might try and hunt Arlo, but just a minute 15 left.
Yeah, he finally is taken out, but the time that took, pretty huge. They're only just entering towards bar, and there's still Knights' presence around there. Hayward's actually going to go back to site. Just going to hold some lines through the holes in the floor. The way that time delay from that roam, really effective. Although they're down a man, they still have pretty solid advantage given the time.
40 seconds left. What was that shot from
Jeez.
Vinny, mate? And now he's just going to go deep. Pushing on through, got that first kill. A lot of utility exposed here. He gets a good refrag there as well, but oh, and now for the 180. He manages that one too. Going for this plant now. It's all on Hayward to clutch this up. Vincier is on fire right now.
Attackers are activating the
Disho guard gives him enough cover to get that plant down. Whips out the G8, drum magazine. You can see Vinny's keen for this one, but Fisho steals it from him. And Sinister come out of nowhere with that attack.
That was pretty nuts round from Vinny. I mean, he got to the bottom of main, hit that crazy shot on the guy at Church Double, and then the flick inside Church back into the breach. The guy flanking main stairs. That was crazy. He was on the ace. Don't know if you realize, but he was on the quad kill. So far out. What a round from him. And Sinister shoot out to 5-2.
I was sad when Fisher got that one, but I mean, you got to play for the team, right? Well, what was fantastic is, we had a great chat to Vinny this week. That was a nasty shot. And this one too. This one was so good. That's a good night, Dino. Man, I mean, we were lucky. We had a great chat to Vinny last night on Clubhouse. He was taking us through Clubhouse and IQ. And he talked us through why he runs the G8 and why he runs Flash Hider and Hollow Sight. And it's just like, that was a masterclass right there.
Yeah, it really was. Far out. Look, Knights are actually going to reattempt the bomb site. I'm curious about this because, yeah, the roam was working out pretty well. It was more late rounds where it just fell apart based on a really aggressive push in the end from Sinister. And what is the alarm bell for me is that Knights look like they're changing how they're going to roam, whereas that was what was effective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're changing what they're doing on their roam. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, like they've gone off the alibi, which seemed like it was working out okay, and just the way the roam is set up is completely different. And I think that part of it actually was really good for them. They just lacked adapting to what Sinister were going to do. Of course, Sinister has spent a lot of time clearing the roam and getting pushed to site. They're just going to eventually hit the accelerator. And it just felt like the Knights were too slow to adapt to that.
I feel like something that I noticed at the end of that previous round was how there was so few reinforcements on site. The Bach could simply just open up all the church wall. And now that Sinister have that information that that's how Knights were setting it up, I think Knights are wary that Sinister will try and abuse that. So that's why Knights feel the need to change things up a little bit. At least, I mean, I don't know all their reinforcements, but I'd have a guess that they did change them. Yeah, here you go. Much more static, normal reinforcements there.
I think the most concerning thing is that Hayward backs himself to hit something with that pistol.
Hey, you can hate it, but he's just waiting for someone to sit there. This is just a tiny little pistol angle. Please tell me that Hibana drops down oil. Oh, why would Hibana go oil? No. Come on, tell me someone goes down oil there. I really want him to hit that shot.
Me too. I want to see it happen. But no, it looks like Sinister actually ignoring oil.
Which makes sense, not super necessary. And like you were talking about the roam, this is a 5-man on site. We saw that when MC was giving us the overhead before. And look, to their credit, Knights have it's more than half the round gone, and still Sinister are just opening hatches. Credit to Dirtbear, that was madly efficient with that blowtorch. Really well done. Now he's gonna quickly drone blue. But that's the first kill. Milo gets taken out rather by Dino. C4 through the floor. That's the Hibana gone as well. So just relying now on that Maverick for not only the hat disc but also breach.
Now again, time not really in Sinister's side, and now man advantage not as well. So that means it's gonna be a real tough finish to this. No massive openings that they've made into this defense. Looks like they're banking a lot on blue. There's 3 players at the stock hatch, and given 30 seconds to go, maybe this is where they're gonna force their efforts. No, they're starting to disperse a little bit. Either way, this is looking much more like it could be a Knights round here.
That player pushing up down oil. Strider putting under the pump, but gets 1 kill. Derpes so low. He's pushing up now, and oh, another one! And Strider just holds down the floor, holds down left click, and cleans house for Knights on that defense.
Yeah, that one was a lot better. Never really looked in doubt there. Sinister just lost a lot of time in clearing out utility and just trying to work some picks. They even lost man advantage, so bit of a fail, and means the Knights are going to change now. They get to play a different bomb site. They're going to go to CCTV.
Haven't shown us this one just yet, but I mean, I like that. It's a good demonstration that sometimes it is worth just sticking with the same bomb site when you lose one. Give it another crack, maybe change your strategy. That's why I really do love these bomb sites where there are such drastically different ways to hold it. So, for example, on that basement there, you can go for a 5-man turtle. You could go for effectively a 5-man roam as well. 4-man roam maybe. You know, you might stick your 1 guy on site to maybe 2 players on site. We really get a lot of diversity in the way we look at setups, and I mean, we're even kind of seeing that here. This is a church defense, but look at this extension from Knights out towards the gym bedroom side. Very unusual. But it could definitely help out if they decide to, or if Sinister are trying to emphasize that con side push construction. Let's look at all this utility being placed in the bathroom. Nico's going to drop it out.
They've used 3 reinforcements on that side.
And ADS as well. It does make you wonder whether Sinister, was it their intention from the get-go to go for the push onto the master bedroom side, execute it through con, as what is probably meta at the moment? Because if not, then maybe it's a bit of a waste for Knights. Maybe if it was their intention, then Sinister should be thinking, okay, you see all this utility, maybe it's better to just focus on clearing garage and go for a more kind of typical execute onto the CCTV from Canals.
Yeah, we saw last week Fisher guy was really sticking this Montaigne, and they tried to push Con into cash, and I think that was somewhat effective, but oh no, that's a fatal error. Fisher guy. He walked into garage and faced the guy around lounge stairs, not thinking about the fact there's a guy catwalk, and yeah, Hayward just picked up, shot him from the side. That's it. Monty gone. Diffuser stuck in garage.
I really wonder whether this. I wonder whether this Monty's been working out in scrims, because Fisher really struggled with it last week when using it against Wildcard, and I don't know. I'm not seeing it just yet. We'll see if Sinister can use it later. Nico seems very aware of a player in pool. Oh, the default cam is up. Come on, mates.
Oh no.
Oh, that's a fatal mistake. Nico gets shot up just a little bit. This is off his HP, but he deals a bit back as well. Take out the default cam, mate. Hayward. Oh, what an angle from Nico to jump up like that. Great move there. Pre-fire towards anyone trying to rotate from lounge. Dino's in fact in there already. 2 players on site, 2 players on the run. The Knights at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Fisher is the guy that died early, but he also is somewhat of an IGL for Sinister, so that sometimes can help you a little bit to coordinate things. We're calling shots from the back. Arlo does finally finish off Nico. That battle is finally over there, and entering the final minute, Sinister have really struggled, but Derpe actually has the catwalk control, so that's really critical. This could be really important for them to be able to close this round.
Question is Juicy going to be able to gas this off? No, he's not. Is Arlo going to be able to deny with a C4? No, he's not. Now Miloska trying to hold as Derpe secures that plant. So low on HP from that gas, but now he's backed out. 3 players left from Sinister. Just 2 left now as Arlo finds another, and this is getting desperate. Milo finds one, but that's a small magazine. Is he going to reload in time? No, he doesn't. All on Derpe. He's finished off. What a retake. And that's Knights to close it out on that defense.
Defenders disabled the diffuser.
I just can't believe Sinister actually got the plant down in the first place. That really opened the round up. It could have been theirs, but yeah, you're right. The Knights retake was just fantastic. Didn't help that Derpe was taken so low in the plant attempt. Sinister did alright to try and salvage something in that round. It seemed like it was lost once the Monty died, but yeah, Knights did close it out. They're going to move on
I'm
to
very
Jim
much
bedroom.
surprised that. I mean, the gas didn't kill the planter, right? The first gas grenade clearly just missed.
Yeah.
And then the C4, like, what was that? Did he not know where to C4? Because he did not C4 the default plant spot. Arlo C4'd, like, underneath the window. I guess that was maybe a bit of just a rush decision from Arlo. Or maybe he got a bad call that it was in a different spot. But, yeah, unfortunate there for him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the fact that the smoke was missing just made them doubt whether he was actually planting default. Maybe they just had sound and they knew that even though the smoke was going off, he's still planting. So I was like, well, maybe he's window. But yeah, either way, could have been a real big error for Knights. I mean, they could have been facing match point based on just that situation. They closed it out. It means it's 5-4, in fact, so close map.
Yeah, I think just slipping that first defensive round is something that started to make this look like Knights weren't looking so good, because when they lost that first defense, after Sinister came out from a defensive-sided first half, it meant Knights were looking at like the 5-2 kind of scoreline. They've called that back though. Now they're moving on after successfully defending downstairs and cash. Move over to Jim. Got the castle, as it's pretty typical. Can I just say, Castle getting the super shorty is the best thing since sliced bread. I love it. I love playing Castle now, even more. Any operator that has a shotgun, I'm obsessed with, because I'm a huge rotation hole nerd.
Yeah, it's made him pretty fun to play and incredibly helpful. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't even seen more Castle, you know, in other maps and built more into strategy, seeing as he can bring a shotgun and of course the barricades himself.
Yeah, very much. I mean, even if you, just a lot of utility. Even impact grenades or a bulletproof cam as well, very useful. Impact trick or whatever. All 3x Kairos are used on that Kennel's wall to prevent anyone playing in CCTV, and I don't know whether Sinister actually intend to fully clear cache, because it doesn't look like that's the intention right now. I will say, you notice there, Vinny with the IQ doing a great job to spot out that electric claw, direct Derper into the position to open up that hole so Vinny can shoot it, and the Hibana can open up the wall. Now Derper uses the Maverick, and oh look, this is so efficient. Derper using the Maverick to unreinforce that wall. Line at the top, line at the bottom, Fisher guy to destroy the soft part.
Yeah, and Juicy did try to use the smoke babes to stop the Maverick from doing so, but it was so late. Derpe already had it open essentially, and now he's made a nice little rotate hole to the side there. Might be unaware of. That could be very critical later on, but Hayward's going to give them a pretty strong advantage. Taking out Nico could be a pretty important play for Sinister, and with the sledge at that, which means some of these castle barricades might be a bit tricky to open.
That's first pick of the round, 2 rounds in a row for Hayward. Doing pretty well. Does have this C4 in hand, and when we were in Late Night Siege last week, Vinny showed us all kinds of places you can deny that C4 from below. Sorry, deny that plant with the C4 from down in bar. So Vinny's going to be on the hunt for Hayward late rounds as well, I think, to make sure he can deny that C4 vertical play. Oh, perfect nade, but doesn't secure that kill just yet.
I don't know how Strata survived that, man.
He's been eating his Weet-Bix, that's for sure. Just holding on now. Logistics, a point of contention. Derpe gets taken out by Arlo. That's holding the bomb site firm, and Juicy just waiting. Vinny does take out Hayward. That was the Roma with the C4 downstairs. That's one dimension that Sinister don't have to worry about, but they still need more control. There's 10 seconds. A C4's gonna... Oh my god, Fisher guy's flying! Juicy's good for 2. He gets the diffuser down on the ground. It's all on Vinny, but he gets taken out. Knights even up our score lines. 5-5.
Brought it back. We're in for another tight series here, Dev. This has been a great map so far. Tale of two halves. Bringing it to a 5-5, it means that there's a very real prospect here of overtime. And that makes me excited considering how close this has been. The Knights there, that's a full sweep of sites as well. That's 3 in a row now. That means they're going to get to go back to church.
And in fact, Knights have actually accomplished something that we didn't see successful from Sinister, which is a 1 defense on every single bomb site. Sinister was unable to get a victory on Gym and Bedroom. So I guess in some ways, this actually puts Knights in the lead here. They are still on defense. They're going to go back downstairs. Now, this is the bomb site that Sinister's already won once, but that was when we saw Pittsburgh Knights go for that roam strategy. Now, I'm not sure what the idea is here for Knights, because they got the mute and they got the alibi. Both kind of indicate potentially a roam, but they have that legion. They don't have a castle. They don't have the Mozzie, which they previously brought when they did that heavy roam.
Look, I'm
Maybe
really
they're trying
feeling
to
like this
straddle
might be... Yeah, I'm thinking this might be like a bait roam. I don't know whether they're going to hard stick this. One big difference is that Dino was the one playing the alibi last time. I'm not sure whether that may be something significant here or whether I'm reading into it too much, but
Okay.
yeah.
I'm not sure what Juicy was playing last time, to be honest, but they did switch that around a little bit. And yeah, they still got Arlo, so he can impact trick. Oh no, Juicy was on the Goyo last time, if I'm not mistaken. They brought the Goyo for this defense.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of drone denial. I don't know whether Dino's using his utility on say, the church wall or on the side, or whether he's putting it upstairs, but I think it would make sense to use a lot of those mute jammers and those alibi devices top floor, and as you said, go for a bit of a bait roam. Maybe even just have Juicy by himself, because if he dies, that's probably not too bad, especially if he's put his utility out already. But good time here for Sinister. Look at Vinny, already in bar, but that's a great kill for Hayward. 3 rounds in a row, he gets the lead off, and Fisher guy, man, he's seems to always be on the receiving end of this.
Yeah, I feel like he's just been struggling the last 2 weeks. I remember this was the case with Wildcard. He was really frequently just struggling to get on the board. He opened up a bit in Theme Park, but yeah, again, Clubhouse here has just been real tough for him. Either way, the time management is pretty good from Sinister. The fact that Nico is now in, opening this floor, putting a lot of pressure on the site, it's going to help them a lot later on, as Derpe is also doing good work on this bar hatch. This time management is going to help them late rounds. They're just going to try and work some of these picks at least to get the man advantage back either in their favor or at least equal.
Just want to commend Derp again. He's just so effective with that Maverick Torch. Does it so quickly and so efficiently without wasting any fuel. I believe that's just the one hatch open for him now, and the Electroclaw spotted out on this kitchen hatch, not to mention potential for impact grenades to trick this. I think that Sinister might have to just abandon any prospect of opening that. I'm not sure if they agree. Miloska potentially rotating for that one. Sturp jumps in. Couple of rotations now from the Sinister players as they shape up. And Vinny going to his signature position, bottom of the main stairs as well. Just going to drone himself up a little bit. Now we can cut off this bottom floor into 2 halves.
Waiting for a C4 over the top there, but nothing coming at this stage. Trying to be a bit patient. It doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of pushing actually happening from the main stairs. So he's going to hold his position. The drones come out. They see that Arsenal's relatively clear, and that Kaid position in dirt is now known. Really important for late round, but Derpe, just deletes that player. And all these frags is coming out of nowhere, Dev. All of a sudden, it's actually all up to Derp. That just came out of nowhere.
Vinny pushed so aggressively down long, and he was taken out. Derp does see the barrel there of the Jaeger, but he's going to be caught in the crossfire. Tough spot to be in. Surely. Strider saw him just then. Derpe's allowed to get into church. No one in church. Can he get the diffuser? It's a 1v3 and Knights are giving him nothing. No relief whatsoever. Derp put onto the pump and Knights are on match points.
Quite the comeback here from Knights. That's 4 rounds in a row. It was looking like Sinister were going to have control of the map, but ever since round 8, it's just snowballed towards the Knights here. But as I was saying previously, overtime feels like a real possibility. I think Sinister can bring this back, but the Knights are really showing up so far.
That's 4 rounds in a row for them. Cash CCTV next on the agenda. Now this one got so close, we actually saw the plant go down, but eventually, I mean, we feel like the plant probably shouldn't have gotten down in the first place, to be honest.
Yeah.
There were some issues near the start of the rounds, and I know, Sinister a bit all over the place.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
That roam really wreaked havoc on them. But this is the end of the line for them. This is Sinister's map pick, and especially in the best of 2 veto system where you only get 1 ban and then you get to pick straight away, it's so more essential, so much more essential to win on your own map pick. Sinister have got to be feeling the pressure now because Knights are on the cusp of getting their revenge for the Pro League match they played last season.
That's true, yeah, they got pretty dismantled on this map in that Pro League
10
match.
seconds to go.
Of course, it was, as I said earlier, the bait strat that became very
5
infamous,
seconds left.
spread around a lot on socials. After that, the Knights were just
Attackers
totally
locate
destroyed
and defuse the
mentally.
bomb.
This time, it's a different story, as you said. We might even see overtime. Looking like an aggressive run out here, potentially from Strider. If this hits, then could be the nail in the coffin.
No way. And there's so much utility that Walmaya's yet to place down. It's a huge risk on when he was droned out. Lucky that he gets away unscathed of that one. And Nico's looking to follow him in there. The Buck playing in stock, a great position. And actually there's no holes pre-made in that bar wall to Nico's right, which is the very common way to counter any Buck or someone playing vertically in here. So Nico's actually in a much better position now to stay safe inside of stock. I think he's just waiting for someone to try to get aggressive through here. Gonna pre-place a drone in lounge potentially to cover his flank there.
Definitely want to be timing when you buck that roof as well, because if you're doing it too early, I mean, that's a massive signal to the defense that you are in that position, and they don't want you to be doing that. So it gives them a lot of time to be able to set up a flank, and also it's early round, so that means you won't have the map control to control that flank, so to speak. So I like the patience from Nico. Strider did get tagged up. I think that was the drone hole because he was top of cache stairs. I heard someone doing some tap firing, so I think that's where it would have been. That means he's up there setting up some magnets ready to counter. So fear trick potentially.
Look at these shields. 2 shields. This is a nasty setup right here. And Strider's going to protect them with all of his magnets in the pocket. As they keep filing on in, he's going to keep on throwing them out. Finally, Nico thinks it might be the time to open up some of this floor, but then he gets the lead-off kill. That's Arlo going down. The Bandit, no more possible for a Bandit trick. But here we see Knights extended hold into bedroom, seemingly working well. But there's a push in from Con. Absolutely no idea that Fisher was coming that direction. And that's 2 nice kills for Sinister with a minute to capitalize and convert that into this round win that they need to send us to overtime.
You'd have to be a bit frustrated with that if you were Dino as well, because, I mean, a teammate should have been able to easily cover that. What an aggressive run out, though, from Strider, bringing it back a bit closer, but aggression yet again.
Defender has left
These
the area
players
of operation.
on site. Hayward down below, so that means there is only one running around. It's Juicy on site here. 3 versus 2, Dave, in the final 30 seconds. Come down to the wire here as the Knights attempt to retake, and Hayward is downed.
20 seconds. No doubt that plant was heard by these 2 Knights players and trying to push on in. Can they get in? Trying to pre-fire these plant positions, but the plant goes down. And now it's all up to just Hayward here with the 416. Just 20 HP to his name. And we see... Oh, that stun grenade caught in the magnet's going to prevent him from pushing in just yet. Now Nico's on the repel. A nigh unwinnable situation for him. It looks like we may well be seeing overtime. But Hayward pushes into cash. Needs to find that first player, but there's 2 of them there. And Sinister aren't going to finish this in regulation. We're going to overtime.
Oof. It's been an absolute barn burner of a night, Dev. This is the second overtime of this evening. And look, it's a real fitting tale of these 2 teams. It was pretty close. Knights looked like they might have been running away with it. But thanks to Sinister having that strong first half as a 4-2, meant that they only needed to get 2 rounds. And of course, the second half was a 4-2. We get to see some juicy overtime.
Juicy. Oh, that was good. I really like. I want to spend another second just to acknowledge how good Knights' how interesting Knights' bedroom extension was, and the way that Sinister dealt with that. So putting players inside of Master Bedroom and Master Bathroom, making sure that it wasn't easy to push that, kind of gave Sinister a couple of extra seconds to think about what they're going to do. Fisher ended up just coming in through Con and absolutely yeeting it I'm not sure which player it was. I think Dino. He had no clue he was getting pushed from that angle.
Such a coverable angle. It's the point I tried to touch on is that it could have been very easily covered from that cache doorway. I mean, there was no line of sight from the logistics wall, and construction wall was reinforced at that stage. So I think if you've got a player in Master, you need to cover all possibilities. And one of them is, of course, someone, like you said, literally yeeting through construction window to pinch the position. A small thing that could have saved the round for Knights. Really important note here too is that Sinister are the ones starting on defense, and we did see a defender favored 2 halves, so you would say that's favoring Sinister coming into overtime.
Yeah. That said, with no, was it earlier today? 5-1 on the attacking half, each attacking half, and then all 3 defense rounds, 1 in overtime. So anything can happen in overtime, and that's what we know. Oh, Sinister, interestingly, not going for that SSG roam that they tended to favor in their first half. I didn't actually write it down, but they played Church and Arsenal 3 times, and as far as I recall, they went for the SSG style roam every single time, if I recall correctly. One of which was a flawless loss against them when their roam was completely dismantled. That's a good way to kick it off, though, with Nico taking down Dino.
Two roams were attempted, and the last one was a turtle, and they won the first roam and then the turtle. Oh my lord, the peak from Vinny. Vinny is just on something tonight, man. Some of these peaks are so aggressive, but it's working out. I mean, he's been really stepping up for Sinister, and he's opened a couple of rounds as an individual. Just definitely what you want to be seeing from him. And the fact that Knights are now down 5 versus 3, was still half the round to play. Really playing into Sinister.
Guess which 2 operators are taken out nice and early for Knights at the 2 hard breaches on Clubhouse, basically.
True.
I mean, on a turtle strat, like this isn't even like a roam strat where they lost their hard breaches. This is, you could not get any worse at this point. And we've seen this been won before by some teams, but man, it's going to be tough for Knights from here on out. And Sinister really done a good job of locking in their chances here.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
They have still a minute for the Knights to make something work here. They're starting to push down main stairs. In fact, all 3 of them on main stairs. Side effects of losing hard breaches means that you will have to funnel to site. They're trying to get aggressive here. Nice buck through into Arsenal, but it's read by Nico. 5 versus 2, Dev. It looks like this is going to be really falling into Sinister's hands. Flawless round in the end. It was a really great hold from them on some early aggression.
Very, very nice stuff from Sinister, and I think that's a really great example of a team that has learned their lesson. They tried the SSG roam once, it worked perfectly. They retried it, it didn't work the second time. A flawless round against them. Knights completely dismantled that roam. And so, second attempt when they were on their defensive half, they try to rotate tack and go for a full anchor style hold, and it works really well. They do that again when it comes to overtime, and it worked well. So I'm really liking that decision-making process there from Sinister. I think they really roll with the punch as well.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Knights will pull out for this Church Arsenal defense. We saw them attempt it 3 times in their defense half. They also went 2-1 on Church. That was exactly how Sinister did it as well. It looks like they're going to be replicating their 3rd attempt, which is with Juicy on the alibi and Dino on the mute.
Yeah, and that was one of the ones that they won. So the times that Knights won this defense was when they went for that hard turtle with the second time they played it, they went for a full turtle. They didn't even bring the alibi. They brought a Goyo instead. And then the second time they won it was when they brought this exact roster right here, this exact rotor lineup. Had a kind of half roam. In fact, if I recall, they tried to flank players up the stairs as well late round. Maybe I'm getting my rounds confused, to be honest. But here we can see Dino placing these mute jammers on the top floor. He's still got 3 in the pocket, so he must be placing all of them on that top floor. And I think it's exactly what you said. It's a bait roam. Not sure how many of the hatches are reinforced. Any chance we can have a look, MC? How many of these hatches are reinforced? All 3 of these hatches are reinforced. Perfect. So that's uncharacteristic of a roam strategy, and it forces the attackers to use that hard breach utility. But at the same time, Knights is also putting mute jammers on the top floor, to force Sinister to clear it out by face checking, or just try to cover their flanks and leave it.
Yeah, and here we go. 30 seconds. They've vacated top floor. Their most aggressive player right now in terms of positioning is going to be Arlo here on the main stairs. But as you said, they've placed those mute jammers upstairs. They've placed utility up there, and you can see a drone there on the outline at the top of your screen. Sinister are hard droning that. That's going to take a bit of time. They're just being very careful. They've been caught off before. So that's going to play a massive factor here. You could say a third of the round is going to be dedicated just to ensure that floor is clear.
Fisher guy just checking oil pit for now. Gonna climb more off that ladder so no one can push up. Now Vinny pushing in through New Blue. A drone ahead of him as well. This Capital likely being utilized, intending to be utilized to clear out that position behind this blue cabinet here. Giant machine in blue. Assume it's some kind of generator. I don't really know exactly what it is.
Bomb located by attackers.
Spots out the Jaeger though. Try and contest that angle. His drone gets shot. Strider, and Strider did so well here on his last defense. I missed C4 as well in kitchen.
Well, that's going to be
There's that
important
first
to start getting that opening kill. Yeah. Onto Juicy as well. So, I mean, he was one of the more aggressive operator decisions to bring in the alibi. I think this blue is going to be really critical to how this round plays out.
Ooh. Nico is eventually taken down. Dino gets his C4 landed, even though Hayward didn't previously. Now a nade going to come out from Derp. This will get chewed up by the ADS, no doubt. But there was a Capital Fireball also placed there. But Strider's not really properly put onto the pump here, and that hatch isn't completely open either. So in some ways, a wasted Capital Fireball. Second one comes out, and that forces him off to the side. But if only both of those Capital Fireballs were placed at the same time, Strider would be toast right now. Instead, he's allowed to continue reigning control over blue here, and there's 30 seconds for Sinister in a 3 versus 4 to take this.
They got some good positions though, but it is going to start to create this funnel. Derpe very much, of course, aware of this position of Strider in blue, low HP. Hayward also low HP, so Sinister with a couple of swift shots could get it. Fisho tries to yeet it deep from Arsenal, but he's going to get tagged out. Derpe pushing down long, pushing into Church, almost catches two, catches one, and making it a 1 versus 2 for Milo. He hasn't got much time, 3 seconds in fact, and the Knights will close the round. Dev, we're going to the final round possible here, as it is now 7-7.
We're going to have 2 7-8s tonight at minimum. Now, I think that's good value for your money.
Absolutely.
Oh, good stuff. Why does that say attack? That should say defense. I broke my spreadsheet. That's awesome. Good on me. Lovely. Good stuff. Well done, Dev. But that's okay. Pittsburgh Knights won on the defense. Love to see it. Very nice. And both of these teams have replicated that defense at Church Arsenal successfully. Albeit that one was a bit close, and I really feel like if Vinny had just nailed both of his Capital bolts at once, that would have cooked Strider completely, and he would have been a goner. Instead, going for one at a time, I'm not sure what the idea was. Maybe trying to work with Derpe's grenade, but come on, you've got to expect there to be an ADS there.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Yeah, I really do feel like blue was mismanaged, and it ended up being the critical spot. If they were able to kill Strider or even flush him out, I feel like that round could have played out quite differently. But either way, the Knights held on. Something interesting about Sinister picking this site. Only site that they successfully held multiple times in their first half. Oh, sorry, perfectly held multiple times, I should say. Like, they did it twice, they won both times. Oh, I made that
right,
so...
no, I get you, yeah, because they went Church, Cash, and then they won both of those. They lost Jim, they lost Church, then they tried Church again and won it, and then they won Cash. Yeah, so they only played it twice, and that was not actually the case for Knights. On their own defense of this, they won it once, lost it once. So, yeah, you're right. This is the only bomb site that so far this map has been flawless for the defense, Sinister. And guess what? On the 15th round of Clubhouse, we finally see a thermite. No thermite until now. And Strider jumped straight on it. Interesting. All this time we've been using that Hibana, but we'll see whether Strider's going to use this mainly for this this priority wall on Canors. It's like Juicy's just going to for that mute jammer. Pop. Strider's going to open up this wall so that they can clear Clear garage a bit more successfully. Ooh, I like that placement of the shield inside of CCTV to contest the kennel's wall when it's eventually opened. Very nice.
Bomb located by attackers.
Bot from Derpe is just going to be so important for the Knights to clear out. He's been able to do damage from there before. So strong to hold. Oh, that pre-fire! Could have hit the mark. Not quite. Sinister playing very patiently here.
Half the round down, and finally, this wall's getting opened. Juice has got to be careful, though. If I recall, he has been killed before in this position, and
Yeah.
I mean, I play Maverick quite a lot. The most frustrating thing is when someone has minced up the soft wall like this. Honestly, I cannot explain how frustrated that makes me. And look at it. Poor dude. Oh, this is the most frustrating thing as a Maverick. And there you go, wall's open. Hallelujah. Arlo can probably shoot the rest of that soft wall off. There you go, especially with the LMG. No better weapon for it. But 1 minute left. There's still a lot more progress we need to see.
Yeah, that's a really important point. I mean, opening Kennel's wall is one thing, cuts off a massive rotate. It's important, but you still have to have other map control. Hayward just missing an opportunity to take out Fisher, which would have really opened things up, considering he is the smoke and hasn't really used his smoke bays from what I can tell. Looks like he's ready to do so now. Dino trying to use these frag grenades to clear out any utility on that wall. Might try to use their funnel thermite breach onto that. Positions held by Sinister are really strong here as Milo gets the first pick in the final 30 seconds. It took a while. That means they will have the man advantage coming into that final stage.
Kill's gone both ways. Milo finds 2, and Derpa's still alive inside of garage. That's such an important position, and still Knights haven't dealt with it. Another kill goes the way of Knights, though, and just 2 left. All up to Derp now, as he's the last man standing. He gets 1 injured. 1 player is injured on the opposing team. 1 player on such low HP, and the last one is planting. It's all on Derp here. Final round of the map, and Dino's just trying to hold it. Now a 1 versus 2 in the retake. Gonna stim himself up. Needs to reload the MP5. He's got some time. No information. One of his teammates downs. Playing the slow game. Going outside. He's gonna revive Nico! What a play with the stim pistol! Surely this 2v2 now is achievable. And Sinister have the health advantage all of a sudden. Arlo and Dino are a hair's breadth away from losing it here. And there's no better find the first kill, and Nico as well! That's the clutch for Sinister, and that's the entire map! Everything we've looked at from now, and that clutch on the back of the stim pistol. I've never seen that before in my life.
No way. What a way to win it from Sinister. That's great teamwork there from Nico and Derpe. Far out, damn, I can't believe that was the conclusion of that map. That was insane.
You couldn't have written it better. You couldn't have written it better if it was scripted. Oh man, what a treat. What an absolute treat. And I mean, the cherry on top is that Nico, the man who got stimmed, actually got the last kill. And you know what's hilarious is Nico, he was outside, right? He would have been detected, you'd think. Man, well, what on earth was that? It's nuts, dude.
That was nuts. That was a really good map, though. We've been treated to 2 fantastic 8-7s. And wow, tonight has just been incredibly close between a lot of these teams. Even the second map in that first series felt like it was a lot closer than the scoreline said. And I can only feel like the second map of this is going to be similar.
Gosh darn it, man. That was so intense. I'm still reeling. I'm gonna have a look at my spreadsheet and see what we can see out of that. Let's have a look at my opening KD, which I managed to fill out for every single round. Hayward was 4-0. They got opening pick 4 rounds. Didn't die once to it. I think Juicy struggled a little bit. Died 3 times on the opening pick, and a lot of those times I feel like he was getting caught off guard. One time he was mavericking something, and a lot of that was a bit of a struggle. But something I didn't actually track necessarily in terms of writing it down, but I definitely noticed was there were a lot of rounds where we didn't see a pick until the last 30 seconds of the round. And I took note, in that last round, what Milo got the opening pick, 30 seconds left on the clock, 5v5.
Yeah, and of course that's going to favor the defense. Even if
yeah.
it went the other way, it still really favors the defense because you have to consider the clock as basically your extra teammate. So some of those rounds were just crazy. And that last one, the Knights were trying to play it really cautiously, patiently, disciplined, but they weren't able to get enough map control to really give themselves a chance. And I mean, they did bring it back. They got that plant down. It kind of looked like it was going to be their round, but yeah, that big brain play. I don't know. I'm still in shock a little bit.
I'm actually shaking. Like, you can't see this, but my leg under the desk is actually shaking. I'm so full of adrenaline right now. I can't imagine what the players are like. I need a break. You need a break. The players need a break. But we're going to be back in just a minute for the second map, the conclusion to this epic series.
Attackers. A bomb. Attackers bomb defeater has been dropped. Attackers have recovered their Attackers blocked. 15 seconds left. Bomb located by attackers. Attackers bomb defeated. Defender has left the designated state. Defender. Reloading, cover me. 10 seconds left.
Are you like Caden, who loves to make the most of the slow loading times of his HDD?
Save your team, be a hero. Take home the cup, be a star. They waiting for you, take aim, shoot your arrow. It's your time to shine, show them who you are. Stronger, gotta go faster, gotta get better, gotta work harder. It's fight or flight now, getting it up now. Go with the move, go for the goal, lead up the stadium, you know how it's done. Stand up, go when it takes to fight back, back. Don't stop until you back out, out. Give all you got, show them how to make a miracle. Stand up, go when it takes to fight back, back. Don't stop until you back out, out. Give all you got, show them how to make a miracle. Stand up, you've got what it takes to fight back. Don't stop until you black out, out, out. Stand up, go when it takes to fight back, back. Don't stop until you black out, out. Give all you got, show them how to make a miracle.
Stay in line, be alright, better play it safe. I walk a different path, nothing can hold me back. I've passed the point of no return, something is calling me. It's in the air that I breathe. Bring me back to life again. Dancing with my fear, burning with desire. We gon' take it to the edge and come alive. Go to hell and back just to feel the fire. We gon' turn up in this place and come alive.
It's nearly midnight here, and we still haven't started the final map of the night. This has been a crazy night of games. 2 8-7s, and I mean, I'm just running on adrenaline right now, and a giant knob of Nutella that I also ate just during the breakdown, and a bunch of water. So we're all good to go. Raven.
Yep.
No words. Ugh.
Yeah. Man, the matches tonight have been insane. Like, two of them literally couldn't have been any closer. That last one, even though it was an 8-7, also came down to a post-plant 2v2 situation. Yeah, I don't even know what to say at this stage. It's been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to stay up with all the socials and stuff, but I really hope and bet that that one's clipped out there, along with a lot of other good plays. So look for Rainbow6ANZ on Insta, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. I know a lot of you guys are watching on Twitch right now, so whatever, we're all there. We've got so much action coming up. My goodness. All right, so that was map number 1, Clubhouse, and it was so close to being a revenge story for Knights, rather, when Sinister beat them, but they do keep that head-to-head going strong. Sinister maybe were the favored team going in this, but Knights have proved they're no pushovers.
Absolutely, and considering that that was Sinister's map pick, pretty big deal. I mean, Knights almost took it off them, and as you said during the match, the way that the Six Masters veto format works, given as you have more of a pick of the map to play, there's a bigger onus on the fact that you should be winning your map pick. So that could have been really devastating to Sinister.
Yeah, and our next map on the agenda is Coastline. This is Pittsburgh Knights map pick. And to be honest, what I've written as notes for Sinister for Coastline is limited info. In terms of recent history, they beat PC 419, which is not a pro-level team, but they are a very strong team in the LPL Pro Division just a few weeks back. That's a good victory, but again, that was also a close match. Let's have a look. That one went over to 8-7, so a very, very close match against a not pro team. That doesn't bode necessarily very well for Sinister going into this matchup when Knights have picked this map knowing that this is where they're going to be heading to.
Yeah, it's definitely not a map that we've seen a lot of from Sinister, so I'm excited to see what they pull out. They've been in really good form ever since that second half of the Pro League, and I think this will be another test for me, seeing a map that they haven't played a lot of, that they're potentially a bit weaker at. If they do manage to pull out a victory here, well then I'm starting to feel even more converted towards the trajectory of their form. But the Knights have proven strong on Coastline before, so it's definitely not going to be easy.
Yeah, I feel like no matter what, if Sinister wins this game, this has been so hard fought and will continue to be, because I've got to say, like, if you just ask my gut reaction right now, who's winning this next map, looking at the paper, I've got to say probably Knights. They're my favored. You know, they picked this out of, they have 5 maps to choose from. They picked this, they wanted to take us here, which means they've been prepping for it. It's been on their agenda. On top of that, Sinister's most recent performance was a close one. So let's dig into it. It's Coastline, our final map of tonight, and then I promise you guys can go to sleep, but you certainly can't sleep while this game's going on, because tonight has been a rocket ship. It's Sinister versus Knights on Coastline.
And if you just were asleep, well, rise and shine, rest of world, because I'm sure it's pretty much daytime for almost everywhere except for where we are. I am excited
it's
for the
nearly
final.
Tomorrow, actually. In 14 minutes, It's going to be Wednesday.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then 17 hours after that, we're going to be casting the next play day.
Yeah, of course. So make sure you guys are tuning back in tomorrow because, I mean, if today's been like this, tomorrow, who knows? But there's some pretty big matches tomorrow, which we'll talk about later. Right now, we have Sinister versus Knights on Coastline so that we can conclude this series because, I mean, an 8-7 on that first map, well, that was nuts, and we want to see more. Habana and Ying being the attack bans, nothing major here for Coastline. I mean, the Habana ban doesn't make a massive impact, in my opinion. Coastline definitely not a map that is reliant on a lot of hard breach use.
And that rounds out the ban phase. Habana, not an operator that everyone likes to bring on this map, but does have its uses, particularly on that wall onto drinks and cocktail. And Valkyrie, really good on this map, especially for enabling that kind of aggressive play style. So being banned out by Sinister, I guess it looks like they want to lean into this Echo instead. With Maestro and Valkyrie banned, they're really going to be kind of relying on that Echo. Maybe operators like Pulse or Mozzie to kind of gather some extra info as well.
Say too, Coastline generally has favored attacking sides. We saw that true last week as well in the Knights Ferox game. And so the Knights are starting here on attack. I really feel like that is going to favor them a bit. But of course, Sinister have had a chance to watch that VOD. So I am very excited to see what Sinister have done to adapt to that because Knights really showed up against Ferox.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. You know, winning 7-4 against Ferox last week is a great, I guess, something to boast. And I mean, looking a bit further back, Ferox, or the Knights had also played Ferox in Pro League pretty recently on the second last playday. And they won 7-2, even more convincingly. Going back further, you know, Knights beat Elevate on this map during the Pro League last season, 7-3. So I think it's pretty clear to say that Knights is good on Coastline. This is home territory for them. It's why they picked it here. As we talked about in the pre-show, Sinister only have that. The only recent game is that one loss. Sorry, just close victory against PC419 8-7, and that's. I mean, it's one thing to, you know, 8-7 PC419, which is what Sinister did, and it's another thing to 7-3 Elevate, which is what Knights did. Totally different ballparks we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a really great point. I think that does beautifully demonstrate that the Knights are wholly proficient on this map. Definitely going to be a struggle for Sinister. So of course makes it all the more impressive if Sinister do manage to pull out with a victory or bring it to be very, very close. See what works here. Sinister are actually quite the roam top floor here to defend Kitchen. Deny that entry towards VIP, which is really critical vertical control. Kitchen is a terrible place to play as an anchor defender once the attackers have that VIP section. So you want to delay that as much as possible.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
And that's why we see so much on Kitchen, very much extended holds into Sunrise, where we see the Echo at the moment. Strider seems like he's interested in trying to go for a quick push here, but he knows that barbed wire, whether he destroys it or just peeks through it, that'll give his position away. Deadbear seems very keen to fight through this angle though. Very confident, got the ACOG to work with as well, and Fisher might support. A nade comes over, a little bit of damage done, but Dino finds that first kill, then he goes down. And Dirtbear looking for some kind of reply here, but he decides to back on out. Dangerous gamble, but he does get away with his life for now, and Nico gets the reply.
Yeah, it was probably the right call there. Strider ended up in hot pursuit, not finding anything. Knights have some pretty good map control now, though. They've got that Sunrise, they've got security. It should make it harder for these roamers to move around, but Dirtbear is actually just getting straight back off site. He's been tagged up heavily. He could be in another engagement very, very soon. He's going to hold the angle into security, though, unbeknownst of Arlo just being in courtyard right on the other side.
Just waiting. Dirtbear not far away. Fisher also not far away. And that heavy LMGE ringing out proud and true, but Derp's looking the wrong way. It's also this angle looking into the pantry. Derp suddenly aware of this position. Really cautious. He's low HP. And the fire lane comes from Knights. Fisher's there to receive one of them. Dirtbear gets taken down, Arlo holding fast, and that's smoke does not deny the plant.
Eyes on the diffuser.
It eventually does take out the planter, but the fuser goes down. 3 players left for Sinister to make this retake happen. Very doable.
Arlo's just going straight for the counter defuse here.
Surely
Do the
not.
Knights realize what's going on? Surely not. Oh, Arlo just in the last second gets that denial. It's actually down to 1v1 though. Still doable given the time. Fisho is going to attempt to get a tricky angle here, starting the counter defuse, just baiting it. It's a nice long. Oh,
yes,
Fisho! Oh, what a shot onto Hayward and Sunrise. In the nick of time too. He had about 5 seconds to spare. Well played, Sinister.
Oh, 1 versus 2 clutch, in fact, for Fisher, if I'm not wrong there. Very close. I mean, well done for Knights. But getting that plant down, it was risky, but they did manage it. And then in the last few moments as well, when Sinister were in the man advantage, but Arlo on that LMG came into clean house. A great clutch to close it out there with Fisher here. Very unlikely clutch, but a great job, Jerome, to making it happen. You know, he only had 5 seconds of leeway there in that round.
He also had like 1 or 2 HP after that engagement. So, couldn't have been closer. I think that's just exactly what this series is, Dev. It's just has been a series of millimeters or milliseconds.
Attackers need
Yeah,
to
no
locate
doubt.
and defuse bombs.
So, moving forward now, Sunrise taken for a secondary. You know, I'm actually surprised that Kitchen was taken as primary for Sinister. I feel like Kitchen's been slipping out of favor a little bit
Discovered the location
for a
of
lot
the
of
bomb.
teams. For a while, there was a really dominant strategy, that kind of lobby presence, opening up all of those angles in the kitchen, make it impossible to play there, but it seemed to slip out of favor for a bit. But nonetheless, Sunrise taken. I think the main anomaly is just hookah is still so prevalently played on this map, whether it's ranked or Pro League. And we haven't seen that quite yet, from Sinister at least.
Yeah, potentially saving it in
Attackers are
pocket.
heading
Of
out.
course, Penthouse being the least played site, at least here in ANZ. So unlikely to see that, but maybe Sinister have been working on some things. I mean, we talked about that. They haven't shown this map much. Maybe it's one of those ones they've just been chugging on in the background for a long time, and now they're finally comfortable playing it. Because otherwise, I mean, we looked at paper, it's one of Knights' stronger maps. Could have had a strong argument to actually just banning it out.
So having a look at what kind of information gathering we got on Sinister. There's the pulse, of course. Pretty commonplace for a pulse to sit down here in office. Derpet also got some Mozzie drones somewhere, to be sure. Milo, I guess you could kind of say Alibi can be a little bit information gathering. If you put them on the right windows and people spray them, it does give you an idea of where the defenders are, what the attackers are rather. It's slow and steady so far for Knights, just clearing out this top floor. Making sure not to peek aggressively. And why are these alibi devices in places where they can just be easily shot? I really feel like that's a huge waste. Put one behind
Yeah,
the
I feel like
shield
they're they're trying to catch pre-fires, but I totally agree with you there. This vertical control
huge waste.
very early.
Nico does find that first though. It's 2 kills now for Sinister, making this more and more difficult for Knights. And also going to be much more difficult to track any utilities such as there's magnets and Mozzie drones and even Vinny holding that pulse scanner out now that the IQ is off the table. Knights are just, ooh. Things try to herd the pulse scanner he put away just there. You can see they've slowed things down, these attackers. They're waiting for an aggressive peak, but Sinister is smart. They're not going to give them that opportunity.
A bomb has been located.
One thing about Sinister in general is they have never really given Knights that much across both maps. I mean, we've only seen one round so far on this map, but Clubhouse is very much like that. Playing similar style here. Fisho is the only one really hard holding Sunrise though, so the Knights really are starting to surround that and get a bit of control there. Sinister still very spread out, able to make a retake, and of course they have the man advantage, so that's very critical in this final 40 seconds as Nico is in pursuit. Somebody on Cool Vibe stairs, and now he's going to be able to hold this strong position just tucked away in that nook.
30 seconds and 3v5. Juicy wants to go deep here. Drops down the hatch. Don't know if anyone's aware of this. But he also doesn't have very much information on where these players reside. Legion does spot him out, and there you go. Another player. Fisher guy holding fast here. Strider has to make this peak happen, but Fisher for the 3K. Nice and clean. Close the round.
Fisher, in the last 2 rounds, has been huge for Sinister. I mean, he essentially got a 4K in that first round. Wasn't credited with 1 because it was the final down, not finished. But regardless, it's just been 2 big rounds from him. He's really stepping up. He struggled a little bit on Clubhouse. He did start to get into it towards the end. But wow, he's really peaking here on Coastline these first 2 rounds.
Definitely, and things have looked pretty tough for the attacking side thus far. I mean, it was very close in the first round, but I mean, I didn't really feel like Knights was in the round that game. And it's funny because we were being pretty critical of Sinister's defenses, you know, some weird alibi placements, etc., etc.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Sinister, they are finally going to that hookah site dev that you talked about. It's really the meta, is the more favored side, and maybe this was all part of their plan. Try and play through the other 2 first, pull back onto hookah, and then they get a sweep of their sites 3-0. But wait and see. Most importantly for me is that really this has more so leaned traditionally towards attackers. And of the Knights games that I've casted and watched, that's very much been the case. The Knights have really excelled on attacking in Clubhouse. And the fact they're down 2-0 is starting to be a bit concerning for me. And if they go down 3-0, well, then I really would be worried about them, to be honest, with this map.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, this is their map pick.
Attackers must
Need to
locate
see them
and
kind of
defuse the
show
bomb.
up here, especially after, I mean, you gotta say, these guys will be tired now. I mean, I'm tired. I'm sure. I mean, everyone's tired right now. It's nearly midnight.
Defender has been
And there you go. That's a very ambitious spawn peak, but Miloska makes good on it. Damn. That was nasty. All the way out towards the poolside spawn. A very long run out on the VIP balcony. And, well, I guess he doesn't miss those.
Great shot from Milo, and that's Hayward down the IQ, so it's a lot of intel. Oh, the pre-fire onto Arlo hits the mark. Doesn't trade any back, though. But yeah, the Knights fighting from behind again already in this round. Really feels like a struggle for them to continue to move forward. And I feel like there's got to be a bit of a mindset blow, right? Losing the first map, 8-7, losing that first round in that final moments post-plant clutch, and now Hayward's been spawn peaked. I feel like if I was on Knights, maintaining a positive mindset, just coming onto midnight, is going to start getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah, honestly, Knights look a little bit lost right now. Slowly droning each other up. Here we go. Nico being live droned by the Mozzie. I actually thought that was a sledge for a second. It took me a minute to realize that was actually a defender being live droned. And yeah, that's wonderful. Those drones from Vinny working perfectly, as if Sinister were attacking right now, because it's what it looks like. You know, these guys, they're just going forth and attacking these Knights players, hunting them down and really giving them no rest.
Strider finally fights back, though, brings one back in their favor. It's Milo, that trouble player that got the first 2 picks, of course, now off the board. Giving themselves a bit more of a chance as we lead into the final minute. But it's really a lack of map control right now for the Knights. They have a potential chance to push through to hookah, but it's quite the trap. Dino evens it out. Derpe off the board. That's the Goyo. It's looking a little bit more likely now with a bit of time there. 45 seconds. Repelling into hookah. That could really work against him if he doesn't get a pick here. Vinny very much aware. All going down. Vinny on his side gets the double. He's going to finish it off. No way. Sinister closed the round out. Oh, Dev, what is going on?
Vinny, what? That was nuts, mate. Oh my gosh, no bullets in the chamber, doesn't matter. I mean, yes, Fisher guy technically got the last kill, but that doesn't take away from Vinny coming out in style. And I gotta say, this is meant to be Knights' pick, and I was telling you that Sinister don't have a good track record on here, in contrast to Knights, who look great on this map. Then coming in tonight, it could just be coming out of a 15-round grueling map on Clubhouse that Knights ended up, unfortunately, throwing away. and got clutched on by Derp and Nico, maybe that just really affected them mentally and physically, because they've got to be tired in both of those aspects right now.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. And I mean, that can be the downside, right? The Knights have probably thought, hey, Coastline got through. We're picking Coastline. We're great at Coastline. But they also haven't seen much Sinister on Coastline. Like, it's just that PC 419 game, as you said. And that was in LPL. Would have been playing with Luna, so maybe a couple of things slightly different because they've got Derp for this. That's not a lot to go on to form some kind of counter strategy or be very familiar with how your opponent's playstyle is on that map. So that could be really working against the Knights in this instance.
That was also way back in February, and it's been quite a while since the end of Feb. Times changed, and Sinister have had plenty of time to revamp their strategy, as you said, slightly different roster as well. That's the most frustrating thing when you're trying to walk through a little gap and the shield just doesn't let you. But I think it's intentionally frustrating for a lot of these Pro League strategies. Trying to make it so it's really difficult for the attackers to walk through there.
Just realized too, Dev, Fisher is up there on 7-0. 3 rounds, hasn't died.
Jeez.
Had pretty big impact.
Yeah, he's been nuts, and really Sinister have looked like they've been chilling so far. That's a weird choice of Gridlock charge. Very easy to just shoot the mother charge, if you will, to make sure that the rest don't deploy, and Vinny gets the first kill. See you later, Juicy. Is this? Yeah, it's just a rush. All right, Dino, let's see what you can do, mate. Oh, baiting out the... Oh, wait, the plant. He didn't see the planter, and then he gets taken out for it. Vinny on 2 kills so far, though. This is the weirdest round. I'm so confused.
Yeah, I was really confused when he didn't see the planter, but hey, it happens. It means they're in a 3v2 retake. Dino's tagged quite low, Strider a little bit lower. So definitely doable here on this retake. Derp was looming above, maybe looking for a jump out. They could try and team onto this guy. No, he misses the shots. Vinny is just on point so far, and it's all up to Dino pushing through kitchen. He also whiffs his shots. Ah, Dev.
Man, that was nuts. Honestly, that was, I mean, that went from a 3v4, whatever it was, and then Sinister didn't lose another player on that retake. As soon as the bomb went down, Sinister didn't lose another player. And aside from Nico or whoever it was on the Jaeger, like, man, this is just so relentless. And such a change of pace from map 1.
It really is. I mean, if I'm Knights right now, it feels like they've thrown everything at Sinister. I mean, 2 of these 4 rounds, they got plant down. I mean, that speaks a lot about win percentages, because usually when plant goes down, your chance of winning the round dramatically increases. And Sinister have counter defused twice. And on top of that, like, Knights just, they seem like they're trying to throw everything at Sinister, but nothing is sticking. Sinister up 4-0 now.
Need to locate and defuse bombs.
Sorry, I had to sneeze, my bad.
All good.
Oh, wow. Heading now back to the bar's objective. Man, this has been a real tough ride for Knights, and I just want to reiterate that point I was saying earlier. I've got to say, there's got to be an element of this which is to do with fatigue. You know, mental fatigue, physical fatigue. We've been playing a highly intense game for, I don't know how many hours now. 15 rounds on map 1, and that would have been so mentally distressing, losing that clutch. Good drone spots though. Not sure if Hayward's drone's going to get found. Very unlikely. There you go, just flicking cameras now. Hayward's convinced there's a drone. He's convinced that he's got a drone over there, but Fish doesn't find it. Back to bars anyhow. This is a pretty convincing one for Sinister. They found 2 picks nice and early, and then Fisher just went on to take a 3k. Still hasn't. Oh, you know, he has died. Fisher is now 7-1. What a shame.
Yeah, that last round. It's a shame. But either way, I mean, his impact isn't lost. Playing same position as last time there in Sunrise. Just tucked away near the bomb. Proved very strong. I think he got a double or a triple actually from that position. First time they held this. Something that the Knights will have to think back to. And I mean, this is another factor of fatigue, is memory. I mean, recalling things can be a bit bit tough. And as the match plays on, that could really be a factor. So we'll see how the Knights go with adapting to this. It's something you pointed out earlier. When you're bleeding rounds on defense, you can't necessarily concentrate on what you need to fix next time you attack that, because you have to think about attacking other sides first. And by the time you come back to it, sometimes stuff gets lost, or it can just be a bit tougher.
Yeah, there's a possibility that kind of can add to the flustering mentally. Also a little bit interested to see Dino really kind of moving into that gridlock instead of a Nomad where he was picking originally. No, I think it was last round decided to change it up. Last round made a bit more sense because he was trying to use the gridlock charges to mask the sound of that plant. Maybe he wanted the smokes, but I don't think in most scenarios gridlock is as effective as the Nomad for denying those flanks. Here's some good information from Hayward. All this utility, mostly were my discs, but no doubt there's a yokai drone there as well.
And Sinister sitting pretty here. 50 seconds to go. The Knights have quite good map control, but they haven't been able to work a pick. Tags a couple, but nothing going. So much of Sinister is ready for a retake there. All generally east side of the site. Fisho opens it up. Again, another round here, 40 seconds in, the first kill. He tries to get aggressive onto Strider, but he evens it out, 4 versus 4. Looks like they're ready for an execute, and this is looking like it's a pretty solid retake strat.
This is when patience is the name of the game. Sinister are just waiting. Nice to make the first move, and they gladly will. A drop down the hatch, but Nico somehow lands that shot. No more C4 to deny the plant, but the Echo's also been taken out, which means he can't use his yokai drone. Plant secured. This could be the first round for Knights here. 3 versus 3. We know how good Sinister have been in the post plants.
Attackers need to protect it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's really important that Knights get this, or there's a trade coming out there to make it a 2 versus 2 as Milo goes for a big rotate. That means that the two Sinister players are both on site. They're very much aware that they're pushing from the side of Kitchen.
No way.
But, the Knights will close it out, Dev. They will get around. It won't be.
I'm a bit scared there for a second.
Yeah, me too.
Well, nice to finally see Knights back in the game, though. Especially it's what we need to see on their map pick here. Really starting to shut down Sinister, punish them, and start taking this ground. I think killing Dirtbear was really essential in that round. Denying those yokais meant that there was not a free plant, but a much more reliable plant. Also, maintaining control of that kitchen area, really taking out a lot of those players was also very essential for Knights. And now it looks like Sinister are going to abandon the thought of retrying bars and just move on to Hookah, where they had previously won, now that it's unlocked again. A couple of 6-pick operators coming out as well.
Need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they
Sticking with the Goyo this time. And Hayward also jumping with the Capitao. So Knights are progressively bringing more and more smoke grenades to their arsenal.
bombs located by attackers.
Yeah, and I mean, they're lacking an IQ, which I think is interesting because...
Wow, that's very insulting. I'm sure that they're very smart.
Hey, don't take me out of context.
Sorry.
My main point
I'll
is,
let you
like,
finish.
Sinister have been playing heaps of Echo, and personally,
Yeah.
I hate playing against Echo when there's no IQ.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Sinister is going so far as to actually, rotate that Echo roll around. Dirt played it last round, and Vinny's on it this time. And yeah, no IQ means it's going to be super hard to find these yokais. And really, I thought that last round would have been winnable for Sinister if those yokais had still been in play, but Dirtbear had been killed before the plant went down. So a bit questionable to see Hayward switch on over. Maybe replacing one of the other operators. I wouldn't mind seeing the gridlock drops, potentially even the sledge, but it's done. We'll see how well Knights work with it.
Bit of aggression there from Sinister. Nice and early. Milo trying to wreak havoc. Dino's been tagged super low. Not sure whether that was an engagement with him or not. Oh, that's Vinny on the Echo. Being taken out by Hayward. That's a great start for the Knights.
Yeah, well, ironically, Hayward, the guy who was previously playing IQ, takes out the Echo. Anyway, so those yokai drones not going to be completely disabled, but somewhat less effective as they can't use the sonic burst ability. But they're basically just invisible static cameras now, so they can still have a huge impact on this round.
Ooh. Oh, the timing of the look away there. Derpe capitalizes on that. So Hayward has been traded out now. 4 versus 4. Still looking pretty good for Sinister in this round. There's one on Cool Vibes playing aggressive. Dino just gets back to safety. Wouldn't have taken much to frag him out, so Fisho just mistiming that. Sinister looking a little more aggressive in this round. I feel like they've just decided to step it up a little bit.
That's exactly what you need right now. You know, it's late at night. These guys have been playing for a long time. Keep that energy flowing. Aggressive push, and oh, a nice shot from Juicy there. Milo put under the pump. That aggression is punished. Nico now watching the top of the white stairs. They're a bit all over the place at the moment, but that's a good kill from Derpe. So many 1v1s coming out between these two teams. Leaves us in a 3 versus 3.
All the Knights players are still on the ground floor. They're trying to get some vertical control. I mean, there are holes open, but they're not being too successful with getting picks through it. Dino is the one still very low on HP. In fact, he's basically one shot now. Smoke could be what kills him if he tries to push through. And then there's a double push-up. Cool Vibes. This could be Fisho's bread and butter here with the shotgun. He gets one. He's flashed by the other as Juicy starts to push up. Actually does frag him out, making it 2 versus 2. Good refrag though. All up to Dino.
Yes! Blow that Goyo shield. That's going to take down Derp, a taste of his own fire. And then finishing him off with the pre-fire through the wall. 1 on 1. The last round of the half. Surely Derp is going to see the barrel of this shotgun and he can pre-fire around the corner. He has no clue. Come around this next corner. Does he pre-aim the right angle? Nika runs away, and that's the play that he needed. Derp doesn't have a chance, and that's the kind of taunt that we expect to see from a player like Nico.
Yeah, well played by him. Nice and patient, just moving around, staying safe. Really like it. And a 5-1 defense half from Sinister. Pretty good considering this is Pittsburgh Knights map pick.
Very much so, and I mean, I'm a bit confused by that round, to be honest. Like I was saying during the game, it really felt like all of these individual, unrelated picks just tug of war. And I think maybe you can partly attribute that to, you know, these players getting tired. The game is becoming a lot more loose, and these players aren't necessarily playing really tight on each other. Funny, we were talking about the IQ earlier, or the lack of in some of the later rounds from Pittsburgh Knights, and then Vinny here, and he was telling us the other night, he will pretty much always play IQ. That's his go-to. There's almost no scenario where he won't be playing IQ in a comp game. And he's just 6-picked off of it onto the Ash. Does he just want to go for the full send, or what? Because there's a lot of utility here for Knights that the IQ would be really helpful to get rid of, namely those yokais.
Yeah, true. I mean, he's been feeling it. He was popping off on Clubhouse. And he's hit some pretty good shots so far on Coastline, so maybe he's got a bit of a counter push strat in mind, or they're just gonna, like you said, send it. Like to do what they decide to do. I like that Echo is persisting between both of these teams on the defense because he's finally available and he's really strong. It seems like nobody's too keen to bring IQ, so may as well play it.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, there is a pattern that the Echo player tends to be the first one to get his head removed.
True.
Early in the round now, though. Sinister, let's see how they form up. It is a bars attack. Sunrise and blue bar. Very much map control focused, this kind of attack. Usually you'll see control of hookah being taken. Control of kitchen is super powerful as well. But it becomes very loose as well for an attack and for a defense. Looks like the start is from the east side. Milo's just droning on out. Nico, Fisho, and Vinny get in the building. Arlo, though, does have a position below where he could use a C4. The question is, does he have this information on these players in VIP? He's hearing. Just listening on out. C4 in the pocket. Players droning upstairs. No doubt cautious for that C4 potential. There's something to flag for later.
Shot there from Dino, just again hearing those footsteps, playing the sound cue, but nothing going, and nothing going is really the theme of the first half of this round now. Sinister taking some map control. They've got vertical play. Oh, that's a nice hole from Juicy. Just watching the entrance to Hookah.
If you at this range,
Bomb located
while aiming down sight, he might land enough pellets to get the kill here. Someone walks through that doorway and considers a fear. He's close to doing so. Juicy knows the longer he stays here, the more exposed he's going to be. Cautious about the bark opening up other angles that might expose him. He wants to be patient and find his kill. Sinister have firmly taken this control now. Fisher trying to waste out that ADS at the bottom of blue stairs. Wants to peek on down it. But be careful peeking this angle. A lot of angles to contest with. Nico finally opens above where Juicy was, and he gets out of dodge with only losing a bit of HP. Just under a minute left.
Yeah, double flank about to come up white stairs though. Derpe might get caught off guard here. They're starting to push up. Some call came out, got off his drone, gets a nice pick on a Hayward. The push up from the Mozzie. Good refrag. 40 seconds, 4 versus 4. This looks like it might be a hectic finish here as Dino gets one dev, 30 seconds. It's all going now. Sinister look ready to push the side.
3 on 4, 25 seconds left. The Knights players, for the most part, sitting on side. That gas is going to lock out Milo from the side. Fisho likely to just have to jump on in through the window, but Nico gets in this game as well, and it spots one player behind the bar. Fisho takes him out, smokes and fires to prevent any kind of push in, and that's a butt in the face. No. See you later, Strider. Let's see this one from Nico. And kapop.
That's not what you want as the Echo player. Well, that's match point now for Sinister. 6-1. It's really, that's a tall order for the Knights to crawl back from, Dev. That's 5 rounds consecutively just to bring it to overtime.
Yeah, this is a very, very tough position to be in for Knights, and honestly, I'm lacking so much context for this. We talked again, I mean, going into this map, I predicted Sinister for the 2-0 before this game, right? I put my money on Sinister, and then coming in, seeing that we're going to Coastline, looking at some map result history from these two teams, seeing Sinister had a mediocre result against PC419, and Knights had some great results. I mean, that just, it made me think Knights would really come out swinging in this one, and I've got to say, I'm going to keep running with my theory that maybe Knights has just been taken aback by map 1 and how hard fought that was, how much that punished them. Maybe that's having an impact here. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Sinister is just completely counted in Red Knights. But I feel like there's something else at work here.
10 seconds.
I mean, I kind of have to agree. They've just looked a bit different on their attack half than previous matches that I've watched of Knights attacking on Coastline. And I mean, some of that could come down to Sinister's playstyle, their strategies, not as being able to easily, you know, counter-strat their team because of the lack of Sinister Coastline play. But either way, we might get a chance to find out in the interview. Have a massive task ahead of them now to bring it back to overtime. Very
this
much
has
like
been
Sinister.
And this has been hugely loose for Sinister as well, from the start to the end. Even in terms of operator picks, it's Nico on the Ash at the moment, Vinny's gone back onto the Thatcher, so really happy to rotate kind of roles, especially on a map like Coastline, where you kind of have to have everyone doing a bit of droning and everyone doing a bit of fragging. Where was that? From the roof, but where was Hayward sitting? Was that in courtyard?
I think lobby door.
Lobby door, hey? And then Fisho finds one. There you go. Just in lobby. Door to courtyard. Hayward gets taken out as well. Sorry, it was Strider gets taken out, dashing into a Claymore. So, man, match point, 5v3 for Sinister. All they have to do is just play 2 minutes to go. Just play slow, play sure, do your normal work, basic stuff. This should be Sinister for the game.
Feels like it. Knights are 100% on the ropes right now. They're down 2 players in this potential final round. They're facing match point. Ooh, that drone's going to go right past Juicy. Maybe not seeing him there in luggage. Could open it up for the Knights if he gets 1 or 2 on the flank. He does get 1. That's Fisho, the hot player for Sinister in the round. Could be something that sparks a bit of a comeback in the round.
It's just the one pick, and Sinister still have that numbers advantage. Dino's been trying to duke out the opponent by using his visual scanner, making them not aware of his position. But you can see Sinister, they got so much time. They're not getting too aggro. Not trying to play with fire. Dino here wants a gunfight, so Vinny's not going to give it to him. And Derpbear does eventually finish off Juicy.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Dino's
Charge from
retaking
below
millions.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
Oh. That's a good shot on the Milo. Oh, 2 versus 2 now, Dev. Maybe. Knights might bring it back.
Yeah, and Derp and Nico are going to regroup. Good push out from Dino as well. Got the diffuser down in luggage, and now he's just going to sit pretty. Nico and Derp together. 1 Ash charge, 3 flashes on Nico. Couple flashes left for Derp as well. Oh no, Nico! Doesn't manage to get through that rotate hole, and Arlo picks up a 2nd kill. Maybe this isn't the round to close the map for Sinister. It'll have to be a nuts clutch, 15 seconds. Doesn't know where the players are, doesn't have the diffuser. Has to pre-fire the angle, doesn't even land his shots there. Bit of a whiff onto the Mozzie, and Arlo closes that one out. Knights are surviving, just a bit longer.
Oh, I feel so bad for... It was Nico on the Ash, right? Trying to get into hookah, like, through the rotate. Oh, that was a series of really unfortunate events there. Trying to get through, got stuck, got flashed, then got shot. Oh, they've got a lot of room for error.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 4 rounds buffer before even the prospect of overtime arises. But can I point out there that Sinister was in a 5v3, and in the space that their 5 players died, they only got 1 kill.
True.
5v3 to 0v2. No, not great. Oh, not good. But hey, like you said, there's buffer room here for Sinister. Instead, as soon as you get complacent, you think, oh, you know, come on, we'll just lock this out when we lock it out. That's the rope that you're offering Knights to pull on to get back into this game of tug of war.
Knights now on Kitchen. This is the first time they've attempted it. In fact, they've rotated site every time, whether win or lose. See what they've got in store for Kitchen. Looks like there might be some presence upstairs. So again, they want to hold on to that vertical control as long as possible so that their anchor players in Kitchen especially aren't under too much pressure, because once that VIP control is obtained, it's near impossible to sit in Kitchen. All those default spots that you would sit that are safe from what you would call horizontal angles are super exposable from vertical. Yeah, best getting out of there.
Yeah. Here we go. Dino's doing a coconut bra peek. Not going to find anything in all likelihood. The only player left... Oh, okay. Someone's going to come out of spawn. Come on, Dino. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Come on! No! He gets deleted! See you later! And Vinny with the holo is just going to take care of Dino there. Only loses 1 shot worth of HP to his name, and... Damn! That's not nice. That's not good. Not at all.
No, that is not good. There's Vinny again with another nice shot. I know. I mean, it's one thing to be down a man, but that's got to be a bit tilting at this stage, right? It's almost 12:30 in the evening. They've played so many minutes of Siege, and especially on this map, just feels like every time the Knights have got something working or trying something sinister, just able to throw it back in their face.
Good peek here from Nico. Does secure that kill eventually as well. We're on this kitchen service defense. It's the first 2 picks going to Sin. Hayward looking for this loose roam. Juicy upstairs. He finds one. Taken down really low. Nice red dot housing there, mate.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Gridlock charges coming on in, but you know, Ola's not too worried. Gonna take down those. Both teams actually favouring the gridlock on this map. But both Hayward and Juicy were above near hookah. But Juicy being low on HP, it's going to be really damaging to him. Potentially, Vincier will have the same problem. And Sinister just have so many more avenues. With an extra player up, really advantageous positioning. They can drone out the site. A lot of information being gathered here by Fisho. So good. 1 minute
Yeah,
left.
and that's gonna give the critical intel there. There's one on site. The rest is really relatively clear. And the other two are trying to play some vertical holes, I would say, for the retake. Juicy might have an aggressive run out there on VIP balcony. Looked like he was keen to peek the doorway. Arlo is actually going to find one. That's refragged beautifully, though, by Milo. Bring it down into... Oh, 2 versus 2, though, as Hayward wins a gunfight. Looked like he was going to lose. Sinister go deep on site, though. They're going to go for this plant, Dev. Looks like 30 seconds to go.
That's it. 2 versus 2. Derp just clearing out for Milo. Who's going to stick that plant, Derp? Doesn't have any more utility in the pocket. Air jab to cut off this flanks, but he does take out that one player. For the map now, flashbang to go out. Cross is using the pistol, takes a couple shots, but there, Milo on the refrag. And that's GG, the end to a very long series. Sinister finally make it happen. And that's a nice 2-0 for the night for them.
It is big points for them. They were disappointed with themselves. They weren't able to secure anything against Wildcard. They said so in the interview. And now they've been able to secure maximum points in this series. That's going to feel good for them. And that's going to jump them up in the standings as well.
It was a grueling series and Knights really felt it near the end of that one, but I think they saved face. Knights got to be happy with their performance tonight, especially on map number 1. Sinister just edging out of that one and then coming into the second map as well. Very, very strong. Been very impressed by Team Sinister. Was not expecting a Coastline like that from them.
No, that was actually a really good Coastline from them, but I think conversely, it was probably what you would consider quite the poor Coastline from Knights. I buy into your heavily pushed theory of the fatigue factor. I really think that the Knights were playing a bit fatigued and that it was a factor. I mean, I'm happy to be wrong and we could definitely ask in the interview, but from what I was watching, it just didn't look like their normal style for Coastline.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what exactly was wrong. I mean, I'd have to go back and watch VODs and say, hey, they weren't doing this and that. But man, I mean, there was just something missing. And it looked like it was some kind of fire that was missing from Knights that had fizzled out after that map 1. And I'm just trying to put yourself in their shoes, right? They're up, and I can't remember, what was it, a 3 versus 2? It was 3 versus 3. They get 2 injured, so there's just 1 player left. 3 versus 1, map point. You need to win this attack, and it looks so close, and then they lose that to come back, and in the way that it happened as well. And that's got to be tilting. That's got to have an effect on your mental game, and that's got to carry through, potentially, even into the second map.
Yeah, and I mean, these teams work hard to try and maintain positive mindsets, but I think you've got to say, like, the time has a bit of a factor. It's late at night here, and when you've been playing a lot of Siege, they would have been preparing for ages before their game as well, and I know from experience, you know, when you're that second game and the first one takes so long, like, you feel like you've been prepared for ages. It can be really hard to maintain that energy. So yeah, I really think after that 8-7, it would have been tough to bounce back from that too.
Yeah, 100%. Oh man, I got a feel for Knights right now. I feel like they deserved a better showing than what they gave us on Coastline. And I think anyone watching and thinking, wow, okay, that they're not very good on Coastline, or this isn't a very good team, or that wasn't a very balanced match. You got to appreciate the where Knights is coming from right now. This is a really good team, and I'm still standing behind my theory that they're going to end up not at the bottom of the standings. I actually don't think they'll necessarily be top 4, but I think they're definitely going to be a contender for top 4, and I think with the coming weeks, we're going to see some really strong performances from Knights as well. But to take a minute to talk about Sinister, I think this is a name we're just constantly talking about with that strong performance at the end of last season, the Pro League going flawless over their competition and edging out away from that relegation spot where they've been dwindling for the last few seasons. And then coming into Six Masters, not getting any points against Wildcard despite our expectation, and then finally making good here and taking down the full 6 points. Gotta feel good.
Yeah. They've been playing great Siege. Their Clubhouse was good, even though it was a close match, and of course there were some errors. I think in general, their Siege was good, and to highlight that their issues in Season 11 for a lot of it was that they were just failing to close out rounds. The fact that they're now able to really have some solid team play and close out rounds, it's insane the improvement that they've made.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a great opportunity to segue from that and talk to Fisher Guy, who's the captain of Sinister.
Yo, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Fisher, mate. Fantastic to see you. You look pretty pumped after that one.
Thanks. It was a pretty close game on club. Dirt really pulled through and clutched up for us. Coastline, we're really happy with, I think, as well. So
Yeah.
overall, I think not bad.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I want to ask you about that final round on Clubhouse. Maybe talk us through like your comms. Was how heavily planned was the whole Nico get stimmed and make it a 2v2? Or was that really like a last minute thing? Yeah, try to give us some insight on that round.
After Knights pushed through and took cash, and basically finished off, most of our team, we basically just went quiet, let Derp do his thing. And after the first stim, he just looked around and saw that Nico was down the garage door, told him to crawl out, and yeah, just made the play. It's fantastic.
Honestly, I mean, I hope you guys go back and watch that clip, and I hope I did it justice. I still need to go back and watch it because that was one of the most hyped clips, if not the most hyped clip I've ever casted. And you guys put on such a show for us. After a long night, I want to know how you guys feel after those 2 points. I know you were disappointed about last week. A lot of expectation on you guys. How do you feel after that win? And how you're
In
tracking
terms
for the
of
rest
like,
of the season?
well, in terms of like the game running late into the night, we usually just scrim until late in the night anyway, so it wasn't really out of our comfort zone. In terms of the rest of Six Masters, I mean, honestly, yeah, we're looking to take a top 3 spot, obviously, with Fnatic out of the running. We really want to prove our worth as a team.
Yeah, perfect. And I think you guys have demonstrated that you can definitely be competitive with the top dogs. Anything you want to say to your fans or to your org or anyone out there watching?
Yeah, shout out to our fans that are supporting us through every game. And yeah, shout out to Priest, Our org owner has just always been there for us and continues to be.
Lovely. Fisher, it's fantastic to see you guys at the top of your game right now. Good luck next week in your game and get some well-deserved rest just tonight. See you, mate.
Cheers.
Well, they do have Elevate on the menu next week, so that'll be a toughie, but I gotta say it was fantastic to hear from Fisher. I'm glad you asked about that round, though, because if there's anything I take away from tonight, it's that play from Derp and Nico. And
Yeah.
I wish I could have been in the team comps that round. I wish.
Yeah, it really defined the night because I mean, like that round or that whole map was super close, and even that final moment was super close. It could have been a 2v1 clutch. I mean, that was still kind of gettable. Derp was dark, stemmed himself up, but then to make it the 2v2, that play was just insane. And I think that really set the tone coming into map 2. So if that round went differently, I mean, we could have had an entirely different situation that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, 100%. I just noticed on the ticker, Nico punching his way to victory in round 7. I approve. I think it's Josh doing. Someone's doing the ticker. Whoever did that, I approve. Man, there were a lot. I feel like tonight was intense, but there was also a lot of hilarious moments tonight, and I've just been embracing that. That was great. Now let's talk about Knights for a minute. Bit of a disappointing performance out of tonight. I think a lot of people would have been gunning for them to take at least the one map, maybe their own map, maybe Coastline. What are we thinking for Knights? Like, is this an accurate representation of them, or how do we expect that they're going to be tracking on forward?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to focus a lot on map 2, but I think it's also important not to take away their first map because they were so close to winning that Clubhouse. And again, this could have been a very different conversation. If they'd closed that round out, then they would have been taking 8-7 on Sinister's map pick, and they would have had all this confidence coming into map 2. Like, honestly, it could have almost been a 2-0 in Pittsburgh's favor if that round went differently.
Yeah, fantastic point. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. We got Strider on the other end of the line. Hey, Strider, dude. Now, I'm sure that was a tough night of Siege, but I just want to say it's fantastic to get to talk to you on an interview.
Oh,
How you
boys,
feeling,
how you
mate?
going?
I'm good.
Gee, get me started. So yeah, I mean, first map you saw we were pretty close, 8-7. I mean, I don't think it gets any closer than that to a 2v2 with a plant coming down to the end. It does hurt your feelings a bit, and you're sitting in Discord after the game and you're like, if only I did this, if I just did this on the last round, we would have won if we did this. But I mean, there were 8 other rounds that we could have done other things, so I don't think that's quite useful to get into our heads. And then I think Coastline was really surprising. Like we weren't expecting Sinister to come out guns blazing, and yeah, as you saw, like I think they got like the first 4 rounds, like the first pick, and that just really hurt us. Like we're always on the back foot, not quite the position that you want to be in when you're attacking. For a map like Coastline, that you could argue that is an attacker-sided map, so they were playing it right.
Yeah, I want to focus in on, I guess, a bit of the mindset, but specifically those first 4 rounds. You guys got the plant down twice in those first 4 rounds, and they got 2 counter defusers. With the way the first map finished and how the first 4 rounds played out on Coastline, do you feel like mindset was really tough for you guys to finish off Coastline?
Yeah, I think it wasn't really quite in our heads. I just don't think we were expecting the way to, expecting them to come out like they did. I don't think it was really a mentality thing, because we knew we could have won the first map. And like, I don't know if you remember last week, we were having trouble with our defenses on Clubhouse, but that wasn't really the problem this week. It was really our attacks. So as you can see, it's just on off. So we knew we could take it to them on Coastline. I think we just weren't really countering them. We're countering Ferox still. You know, we're still in last week's head mentality.
That's a really good insight, Strider. It was so good to watch you guys tonight. You played so insanely good on Clubhouse, and you guys have a lot to be proud of. And I mean, going into the rest of the Six Masters season, I know that a lot of people have high expectations for you, and they're well deserved. Despite having roster changes fairly last minute for you guys are competing with Sinister, who are at the peak of their form right now. So you guys have so much to be proud of. Now, is there anything you want to say to your fans, your org, anyone out there watching late at night tonight?
Oh, gee, you put me on the spot. I suppose it's like, with all this virus looking stuff, it's really hard to keep track of people and keep on top of things. But we're really happy that the Knights have decided to stick with us through all the hard things. So a big shout out to them, and also big thanks to everyone that's still giving us the cheer in the chat, even when we're losing 2 maps in a row. So we really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Strider. Well, I hope you have a good night. Take some time to just clear your head. Do whatever you've got to do, and we'll see you next week when you come back stronger.
Might relax and play some ranked.
Sounds good, dude. Enjoy.
Relax,
See you later.
Catch you, boys.
Oh, I love Strider. Yeah, I mean, that would have been a hard thing to do just then, what he did, coming on and talking to us after that.
Yeah, and also just, it's pretty late. So on top of it all, he's probably just super keen to wind down, because I mean, that's the thing, right? It's not just the fact that this is finishing late, especially as a player coach. It takes you ages to wind down, because you're trying to maintain high energy, high adrenaline for such a long time. Afterwards, it can take hours before you're ready to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get that. Same for us. And I mean, it's the same if you jump off ranked at midnight. You're like, I'm not going to bed to at least 2 a.m., right? So let's have a look at how this all played out and where we're sitting at the moment. With the matches tonight, it was LFO who took the first map against TBD in a really quite impressive upset, but TBD stood fast on their own map pick of Cafe and ended up winning the head-to-head round count. And that was our first 8-7 in LFO's game. Then later on, we played Clubhouse Team Sinister vs Knights. That was the best game of Siege. One of the best games of Siege I've ever casted. I highly recommend you go back and watch that if you didn't, with one of the best finales to a round I've ever seen. And then in the end, Knights kind of, the flame fizzled out on Coastline.
Yeah, the first maps for both of these series were hands down some of the, like you said, most entertaining matches of Siege that I've watched in a while. Super close, and look, it's the great thing that overtime can bring to it, just that it's got that climax finish, it's intense, and it's really fitting for how those matches played out. So 100% first map of both these series, must rewatch.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's have a look at where this lands our H teams in the Six Masters, remembering that half of these teams will be playing tomorrow. So half these teams have played 4 matches, half have played 2. At the top, we've got TBD sitting at 9 points, the only team to win the 3 maps so far, but there's an opportunity there for Wildcard, Ferox, and Elevate to catch up tomorrow night in their matches. Wildcard sitting at 2nd place. Sinister edging in at 3rd place, which is the top 3 spots that Fisho said he was really gunning for. And Knights just sitting down at the bottom after not winning any maps tonight as well.
Yeah, I really think that at least a top 4 finish for Sinister is quite achievable for them. They ended up finishing 5th in Pro League, considering they had a really bad first half to Pro League Season 11. And like Fisher said, Fnatic aren't in this, and given their form, I really do think that is a possibility for them.
So I want to get your 2 cents. Who are the 3 teams you reckon are going to end up on top? The 4 teams, I suppose, for the playoffs at the end of the season.
I'm still going to stick with, I guess you'd call it cliche or maybe a safe bet. I still think it's going to be Elevate, Wildcard, TBD, and Sinister. But, I mean, LFO have shown a pretty good case for how they could potentially even break to 4th place. I think it's going to end up being a pretty tight finish to the season with regard to who finishes maybe in that critical 4th place.
It's certainly heating up in Six Masters. LFO, I think, are the big team that have made the upsets so far, but there's still an opportunity for teams like Kanga, teams like Knights, and Elevate even, to really get in the game as well. We know we have high expectations for some of these teams. Like Elevate, we expect them to be topping the standings, maybe Wildcard up there as well. And we get to see those guys playing tomorrow night, which is super exciting. Matches we've got tomorrow night for you guys will be Elevate versus Kanga. So, interesting game. Opportunity for Kanga to prove they're worth something there and get some points on the board. Also, Ferox versus Wildcard. Wildcard and Mainstay we expect to do well, but Ferox also have proven that they are prone to upsets. So, any quick expectations coming into tomorrow?
There's, in terms of the predictions, like the snowball predictions, there's an absolute landslide prediction for both Elevate and Wildcard to 2-0 in those series. I do still feel that way, but just after some of the matches tonight, I can't help but doubt myself a little bit. You know, it feels like the ground of upsets is set.
Totally. So you guys are going to have to find out tomorrow night, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Sydney time, here on the Rainbow Six channel or Rainbow Six ANZ. We've got choice for you guys. We'll see you tomorrow night for that. Make sure you're there.
No thoughts left in my head. My mind's not mine and it won't forget. But you bring me back from my darkness black as the sun. No pulse and all alone. Time's not kind and it won't let go. No thoughts left in my head. My mind's not mine and it won't forget. But you bring me back from my darkness black as the soul in me and the heart I have for you. It bleeds for you, it beats again. Oh, you bring me to life.